Chapter 542. The auction came to an end. Next was a tour of the Phoenix stage, followed by an exchange meeting. The Phoenix stage was surrounded by palaces, and there were at least 1,000 of them. In terms of magnificence, it could be said to be unparalleled. But Wang Daoyuan was not interested. This Phoenix stage was far inferior to the Forbidden City in his previous life in terms of magnificence. There were some pavilions and waterside pavilions, but they were far inferior to the Jiangnan Gardens in his previous life. The cultivators of the 4 top forces were also used to this. After the auction, they casually found a palace to discuss the Dao. This Phoenix stage was used to fool loose cultivators who had never seen the world and to facilitate the Zhou clan's recruitment. For example, Flying Sand loose cultivator was very interested in the Phoenix stage. After Wang Daoyuan casually looked at a few palaces, he came to the main hall in the north of the Phoenix stage. The exchange meeting was held in the main hall. The Golden Core cultivators of the 4 top forces and several Golden Core cultivators of the Zhou clan were discussing the Dao here. Wang Daoyuan was a newly advanced Golden Core cultivator, and everyone present was his senior, so he bowed and sat at the end of the table. As the host, the Zhou clan had to take care of every guest. A peak Golden Core cultivator of the Zhou clan said with a smile, "Lei Yan Dao, you has good eyes to take in such a good disciple. Little friend Wang reached core formation before 200 years old, and now he's already the master of a region. It's really rare. I heard that little friend Wang and Jing Yuan have a good relationship. Our 2 clans should get closer in the future." Wang Daoyuan secretly said, "I've already become the son-in-law of the Zhou clan, how can I get closer?" But etiquette cannot be lacking, so he exchanged some pleasantries with this peak Golden Core cultivator. These peak Golden Core cultivators, plus Taoist Lei Yan, who was half a step into Yuanying, discussed the Dao together. Wang Daoyuan's understanding of the laws was still too low, so he couldn't even interrupt and could only listen. Even so, he still benefited a lot. Half a day later, the cultivators who were touring the Phoenix stage gradually returned and found a place to sit. A day later, all the cultivators were present, and the exchange meeting officially began. 2 Zifu realm cultivators carried a green jade desk and placed it in the middle of the main hall. With 4 top forces and 2 first-rate forces present, the Golden Core cultivators of the other forces were somewhat restrained. The items of the major factions were always left for the last, and it was not good for them to go up directly. As the host, the Zhou family naturally couldn't let the situation turn cold. A late-stage Golden Core cultivator took out a piece of 4th-grade low-grade fire-attributed meteorite. This meteorite looked like a wooden club and weighed about 20 to 30 kilograms. It should be enough to refine 2 defensive Dharma artifacts, and it wouldn't be a problem to refine a natal Dharma artifact. This person smiled and said, "I'll throw a brick to attract jade." This meteorite is called lava meteorite iron. It was formed after a meteorite fell into a volcano and was nurtured for thousands of years. Everyone here is a discerning person, so I don't need to say more about its value. I would like to exchange it for a dozen or so jade essence cultivating pills, or sell it for 800,000 spirit stones. Naturally, it wasn't very precious. Soon it was bought by a fire-attributed early-stage Aurus Core cultivator. He probably wanted to refine his life-bound magic artifact. With the Zhou family taking the lead, the other cultivators also took action. However, they were basically refining materials, medicinal pills, special Dharma artifacts, and the like. Flying Sand cultivator also took out a fist-sized piece of 4th-grade low-grade heaven-suppressing stone to exchange for a low-grade 4th-grade earth-attributed material. Wang Daoyuan didn't need this thing right now, so he didn't exchange it. He didn't have many good things, so he had to keep them to exchange for spiritual plants. More than 10 Golden Core cultivators went up on stage, but he didn't make a move. Soon after, an early-stage Golden Core cultivator went up on stage. This person wasn't old and looked to be around 400 years old. Among the Golden Core cultivators, he could be considered a young man. However, he had a death aura all over his body. His spiritual energy fluctuations were clearly that of a righteous cultivator, but this death aura was even heavier than that of an evil cultivator. He took out a small sapling that was 4 to 5 inches tall. Its branches were white jade in color, and a few clusters of needle-like leaves were green jade in color. It should be a spiritual plant like a pine tree. If it wasn't for the vitality fluctuations on this sapling, Wang Daoyuan would really think that this thing was a jade carving. The golden core cultivators of the small and medium-sized forces all had curious looks on their faces. Wang Daoyuan was also one of them. On the other hand, the cultivators of the large forces didn't take it seriously at all. A golden core cultivator of the Zhou family introduced. This is a jade needle white jade pine. It can currently grow to 4th level superior grade. In ancient times, 5th level superior grade appeared. If the environment is suitable, it will start to bear pine cones after 5,000 years. Each time it will bear 5 to 10 cones. The pine cones need about 2,000 years to mature, and then it needs to rest for 2,000 years before it bears fruit again. In other words, it can only be harvested once every 4,000 years. This white jade pine can increase the success rate of core formation by 20%. It is also very beneficial for the cultivation of golden core cultivators. For cultivators who don't have enough aptitude, it is still very valuable. For cultivators with 2 spiritual roots whose main spiritual roots are 8 inches and above, as long as their physical body and true essence meet the requirements, it won't be difficult for them to form their core, so they basically don't need this thing. Moreover, the current environment of Beiyuan Zhou Xian isn't suitable for the growth of jade needle white jade pine. It's really hard to say if it can bear pine cones. This one isn't very old, only about 1,000 years old. Hearing this, all the cultivators lost interest. For such a good thing with the potential to grow to the 5th rank, the things exchanged for definitely wouldn't be simple. Who would be willing to pay such a huge price for a living ancestor with uncertain results? The cultivator who took out the jade needle white jade pine sighed and said, I was seriously injured by a ghost cultivator over 100 years ago, and the death aura invaded my bone marrow. If I can't get rid of this death aura, I won't live for more than 100 years. Fenny Dao, you can help me get rid of the death aura. I am willing to repay you with jade needle white jade pine. This time a few golden core cultivators became interested. If they could get rid of the death aura, then they could get it, so there was no harm in trying. In recent years, the spiritual aura of Beiyuan Zhou Xian had been slowly increasing. Maybe one day it would stabilize and bear fruit. In any case, this thing didn't take up too much space and it could greatly increase the foundation of a cultivator. A few cultivators who cultivated healing spells stepped forward and examined the body of the cultivator surnamed Li, then shook their heads. The Netherworld sect was an expert in dealing with death aura and yin aura, so Zhou Xian also went to examine him. A moment later he also shook his head. The death aura and the physical body are almost integrated into one and can't be removed. Unless a huge amount of vitality is poured into the body and forcibly dispelled the death aura. I took a look and found that it would take the vitality of 500 to 600 golden core cultivators to completely dispel the death aura. If it were a large rank 4 demon beast, it would take more than 100 of them. The cultivator surnamed Li looked desperate, but Wang Daoyuan's eyes lit up. Vitality was indeed rare, but he didn't lack it. He took out the Tsong Dragon Pearl and said with a smile, I can give it a try. Seeing the rich vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl, the cultivator surnamed Li showed hope again. The vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl was about the same as the vitality of 50 early-stage golden core cultivators. If he didn't draw vitality from the outside world and only relied on the spiritual fire of life, it would take about a year to fill the Tsong Dragon Pearl. Wang Daoyuan walked to the cultivator's side and activated the Tsong Dragon Pearl. A green light flashed, and the vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl was injected into the cultivator surnamed Li's body. Soon the sizzling sound of corrosion came from the cultivator surnamed Li's body. Fortunately, he was a golden core cultivator and had a strong physical body. If he were below the golden core level, he would have been seriously injured. 2 hours later, the vitality in the Tsong Dragon Pearl was exhausted. The cultivator surnamed Li spat out a puff of black smoke and said weakly, Thank you, Dao. About 10% of the death aura in my body has been removed. I should be able to live for a few more decades. Dao, you should be able to cure me. This jade needle white jade pine. The person who came to the auction from the Cruel Sun Palace was the Grand Elder, Perfected Yen Yang. Seeing Wang Daoyuan's success, he sneered, Li Dao, you don't be fooled by that brat from the Wang family. Just removing 10% of your death aura consumed so much vitality. To completely remove the death aura, you still need 9 times more vitality. Brat from the Wang family, your vitality is equivalent to the vitality of 50 golden core cultivators. Where did you get it? The demon beasts in the sky/mountain range haven't made any movements recently. Could it be that you're secretly killing ordinary people? Chapter 543. When Master Lei Yan heard this, he angrily rebuked. Wang Daoyuan is my in-name disciple and also my Divine Weapon Pavilion's guest elder. Are you saying that I'm blind, or that the Divine Weapon Pavilion is hiding filth? Master Yen Yang hurriedly explained, I don't mean that, I'm just a little suspicious. Song Yen had always wanted to attack the state of Zhao. Now that there was a chance to weaken the state of Zhao, he naturally wouldn't let it go. He said in a strange tone, Da Yen Yang, your words are wrong. Killing mortals to obtain life force, killing tens of thousands of people, still can't compare to a golden core cultivator. Who would do that? Wang Daoyu is also a shrewd person. If he wants to kill, he'll kill loose cultivators. A Qi refinement loose cultivator's life force is comparable to several mortals. A foundation establishment loose cultivator is comparable to hundreds of mortals. I heard that there are many loose cultivators in the state of Zhao, so killing loose cultivators is more cost-effective. Wang Daoyuan had a whole new level of respect for Song Yan. He originally thought that he was an outstanding gambler who only knew how to fight head-on. He didn't expect that this guy was also an expert in scheming. His ability to fan the flames wasn't low. If Wang Daoyuan couldn't give a reasonable explanation today, everyone would suspect that he killed loose cultivators to obtain life force. Master Lei Yan coldly snorted, everyone knows what kind of person I am. I also know where Daoyuan's life force comes from. It's just that this involves the secret of his cultivation, so I can't easily say it. I swear on my honor that Daoyuan definitely didn't kill cultivators to obtain life force. Master Lei Yan was famous for being upright and didn't tolerate the slightest bit of evil in his eyes. He swore on his honor that no one dared to doubt him. Wang Daoyuan naturally couldn't let his master use his honor as a guarantee. Although he didn't kill anyone to obtain life force, what he cultivated wasn't all righteous either. For example, once the doppelganger soul nurturing technique was exposed, it would be difficult to explain. At that time, when the two matters were added together, there would be no place to reason. Not only would he become a devil that everyone wanted to beat, but he would also implicate his master and the Divine Weapon Pavilion's reputation. It was better to resolve this matter on the spot, so as to avoid leaving behind a source of trouble. With Wang Daoyuan's current strength and his relationship with the Divine Weapon Pavilion, no one would do anything to him even if he revealed the life spiritual fire. After all, the life spirit fire did not add much to one's battle prowess. It was not worth it to offend Venerable Lei Yan and the Divine Weapon Pavilion for such a thing. Now that he had exposed his life spiritual flame, there was a reasonable explanation for his rapid cultivation speed. Overall, the advantages outweighed the disadvantages. Thinking of this, Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands towards Master Thunderflame and said, Master, there's no need to be like this. Yen Yang Daoyu and Song Daoyu have been pressuring me. If I don't reveal my secret, I'm afraid I'll be treated as a devil in the future. Then he raised his left hand and a ball of dark green flame appeared in his palm. Everyone's divine senses swept over. Although most people did not know the name of this wood attribute spiritual fire, the rich vitality within it could not be faked. A golden core cultivator of the Zhou clan said uncertainly, wood-type spiritual fire? Could it be the fire of life? Little friend Wang's luck is so strong. Only high-level spirit plants on the verge of death have a very small chance of condensing such a thing. Even if it is condensed, regardless of whether the high-grade spirit plant is dead or alive, its fire of life will be extinguished. No wonder little friend Wang could cultivate so quickly despite having 5 spirit veins. It turns out that he has the help of the spiritual fire. Since Wang Daoyuan had already proven his innocence, all that was left was for Taoist Lei Yan to follow up. He released his half-step yuanying aura and coldly snorted, Yen Yang Daoyu and Song Daoyu, do you still want to force my disciple to death? My disciple is not someone that anyone can bully. In the future, the Divine Weapon Pavilion will no longer do business with the Song clan and the Cruel Sun Palace. If anyone thinks that I, Lei Yan, am easy to bully, feel free to find trouble with Daoyuan. I won't live for long, but before I die, if anyone dares to touch my disciple, I'll let you know what a half-step yuanying is. Several hundred years ago, Venerable Lei Yan was publicly recognized as the #1 person under the half-step yuanying. Now that he was a half-step yuanying, he was even stronger. Who would dare to offend him? The two were not stupid. Now that Venerable Lei Yan was angry, any explanation would only add fuel to the fire. Zhou Xian and the Thousand Spirit Sect's Venerable Yulong were gloating. Now that the Song clan and the Cruel Sun Palace were restricted by the Divine Weapon Pavilion, the pressure on the two sects was reduced. Wang Daoyuan laughed. Since I've already revealed the fire of life, there's no need to hide it anymore. Dao Yuli is also a wood-type cultivator. I'll directly draw the fire of life into your body. When the fire of life burns your spirit energy, it will automatically produce life energy and consume death energy. If you trust me, don't resist. Cultivator Li was also heroic. He lightly laughed. I have a rotten life. If I can't get rid of the death energy, I'll still die. I believe that Venerable Lei Yan's disciple won't harm me. Just do it. Wang Daoyuan inserted the fire of life into his left hand. Daoyuli, protect your golden core and cultivate. Cultivator Li did as he was told, and Wang Daoyuan also continuously inserted the fire of life into his body. Sizzling sounds of corrosion could be heard from Cultivator Li's body. Black sweat began to appear on the surface of his body. Not only was there death energy in the sweat, there were also impurities accumulated from years of cultivation. While dispelling the death energy, he also cleansed his meridians and marrow. 4 hours later, there were no more sizzling sounds coming from Cultivator Li's body. The sweat on his body was no longer black. Life energy and death energy clashed violently in the body for 4 hours. Even golden core cultivators could not withstand it. Wang Daoyuan withdrew the fire of life and took out the azure dragon pearl, performing a healing technique on him. Apart from his golden core and spiritual sea, Cultivator Li's spirit energy and blood energy were all burned by the fire of life. Fortunately, his golden core was intact, so these losses could be recovered. After Wang Daoyuan's treatment, he quickly woke up. He took out a jar of spirit wine, drank a few mouthfuls and meditated to recover his spirit energy. In half a cup of tea's time, his spirit energy was fully recovered, and some of his blood energy also recovered. He stood up and handed the jade pine tree to Wang Daoyuan. Thank you for saving me, Dao. I can't thank you enough. Wang Daoyuan took the sapling and put it in his Qingkun ring, smiling. No need for that. It's a fair trade. Cultivator Li then returned to his seat. Wang Daoyuan went to the green jade desk and took out the spiritual items he had prepared in advance. There were 160 kilograms of low-grade grade 4 heaven ferocious gold and 40 kilograms of mid-grade grade 4 Tai essence gold. There were also 5 kilograms of low-grade grade 4 cloud concealment tea and 30 face retaining pills. He smiled. These are the spiritual items I prepared. Everyone knows about the heaven ferocious gold and Tai essence gold. There are also 5 kilograms of low-grade grade 4 cloud concealment tea, which is only produced in the 100 Spirits Immortal's cave. There are 30 face retaining pills in these 3 bottles. I need to exchange for living grade 4 spiritual plants. Seeds are fine too. If you don't have them, you can also exchange them for golden core cultivation methods, spells, elixir, artifacts and talisman array inheritances. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 peak golden core cultivators of the Wind Snow Deity Palace looked at the table. Sure enough, no matter how high a woman's cultivation was, she paid great attention to her appearance. Even a peak golden core cultivator was no exception. The female cultivator in the lead asked, "Little friend Wang, where did you get these face-retaining pills?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "Senior, I found these spiritual plants in the ancient cultivator's cave in the Sky Beheading Mountain range. I refined them myself." If the spiritual plants in the ancient cultivator's cave could be refined into pills, then they must be living spiritual plants. The female cultivator immediately became spirited. "So, little friend Wang can continue to sell face-retaining pills?" Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Yes, but there aren't many face-retaining pills. I can only sell a small amount for a short period of time." The female cultivator smiled. "It doesn't matter as long as there are some. In the future, however many face-retaining pills the Wang family has, my Wind Snow Deity Palace will buy them. These 30 face-retaining pills can't be exchanged for grade 4 spiritual plants. How about I use a high-grade spirit stone to exchange for 1 face-retaining pill?" Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. Originally, he took out the face-retaining pills to establish a connection with the Wind Snow Deity Palace. Now that he had achieved his goal, he could give away these 30 face-retaining pills for free. If he could exchange them for a high-grade spirit stone, it would be a great profit. Wang Daoyuan replied, I'll do as senior says. Chapter 544. After the exchange, the golden core female cultivator gave 30 high-grade spirit stones to Wang Daoyuan and took away 3 bottles of ageless pills. Then the 3 golden core female cultivators of the Wind Snow Deity Palace immediately divided the 3 bottles of ageless pills. Each of them held a bottle of ageless pills with a happy face. How could a peak golden core cultivator be so happy with a mere second-grade pill? He really didn't understand what they were thinking. After the exchange, a middle-stage golden core old man came forward with a 3-inch-long silver sword. He cupped his hands and said to Wang Daoyuan, "Wang Dao, I have a 4th-grade low-grade sword talisman here. I wonder if it can be exchanged for Tai gold essence." Wang Daoyuan took the small sword and probed it with spiritual power. He said, "This thing can indeed exert the full power of an early-stage golden core cultivator, but it's not enough for me. After using it, I still need to repair it and replenish it with spiritual power and sword intent. If there's a refining method, I can refine a few more and nurture them at the same time. It's more cost-effective to win with quantity in a battle of magical powers. If it's of a higher grade, it's also worth a lot. This 4th-grade low-grade sword talisman is really useless." The old man sighed and took out 2 more animal skin pages. "I originally wanted to exchange it for other good things, but I also urgently need Tai gold essence. This is the refining method of sword talismans. How about exchanging it for this Tai gold essence?" Wang Daoyuan took the first animal skin page and checked it carefully. Although he had never seen the refining method of sword talismans and magic talismans were both spirit talismans. Naturally, they had something in common, so it wasn't difficult to see the authenticity. Although this sword talisman was only 4th-grade low-grade, as long as he spent more time, he could still use it as a foundation to refine a 4th-grade high-grade sword talisman. He nodded and said, "This is indeed the refining method of sword talismans. This Tai gold essence is yours." The old man gave the second animal skin page and the sword talisman sample to Wang Daoyuan. Holding the Tai gold essence, he returned to his seat with satisfaction. The peak golden core cultivator in charge of the Zhou family said with a smile, "Jing Yuan brought back some 4th-grade hidden cloud tea when we explored the 100 Spirits Immortal's cave abode last time." This old man also tasted some, and the taste was indeed not bad. Imperial father and Imperial brother also liked it. "I'll give you 2 phoenix feather fir saplings in exchange for this 10 caddies of hidden cloud tea." Although the phoenix feather fir was a 3rd-stage upper-grade spiritual wood, its wood was hard and was suitable for refining magic tools. If one's skill in refining was high enough, it would not be difficult to refine a low-grade 4th-tier magic tool. Furthermore, it was a non-elemental spirit wood, which was suitable for refining flying warships. My Zhou clan's flying battleships use a large amount of this phoenix feather fir. If the phoenix feather fir was old enough and grew in a place rich in spiritual energy, it could also break through to the 4th stage. Little friend has refined the spiritual fire of life, so the possibility of Feng Yushan evolving has increased. This person addressed himself as Father Emperor and Imperial Brother. Then he should be the younger brother of the current Zhou Emperor, Lord Linjiang, who held a high position in the Zhou country. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections to Lord Linjiang's suggestion. Although the Wang clan had regained its status as a golden core clan, its foundation was too weak. The only 3rd-tier materials they produced were star steel, jade bone pine, and azure cloud parasol tree. Among them there were too few 3rd-tier jade bone pine and azure cloud parasol tree, so they could not be of much help. These were all 3rd-stage lower-grade materials. He could only buy 3rd-stage upper-grade materials from outside. This phoenix feather fir could fill the gap of 3rd-stage upper-grade materials. Naturally, he could not let it go. Compared to the phoenix feather fir, 10 caddies of hidden cloud tea was nothing. He had plenty of it in the space of the spirit pearl. He nodded and agreed. Lord Linjiang gave a look. Half an hour later, a peak Sifu realm cultivator delivered 2 phoenix feather fir saplings that were more than a foot tall. Wang Daoyuan put the 2 saplings into his yin and yang ring and gave the hidden cloud tea to Lord Linjiang. No one was interested in the last piece of heaven ferocious gold. The value of the heaven ferocious gold was not low, but it was not too high either. In the eyes of the golden core cultivators, it was not much. No one was willing to exchange precious spiritual items for it. In the end, it was bought by the imperial family of the state of Qin for 200 high-grade spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan exchanged all his spiritual items and was very satisfied with the benefits he received. He left the green jade desk and returned to his seat. The other golden core cultivators took the stage and brought forth fourth-tier materials, elixirs and some spells. Unfortunately, Wang Daoyuan had already exchanged all the items he could. He could only look at the good items brought out by the other cultivators. Soon the other powers finished their exchanges, leaving only the 4 top powers. Apart from the Divine Weapon Pavilion's flying warship, the items brought out by the other 3 powers were similar to what they had in the previous auction. However, a cultivator from the Archaic Arcanum sect asked Wang Daoyuan, "I heard that little friend Wang has refined the complete 5 elements devil suppression seal. He must have obtained the earth essence. Do you have any leftover earth essence? My Archaic Arcanum sect is willing to purchase it at a high price." No one would believe him if he said that he had used up all the earth essence. He might as well admit it and answered, "I do have some leftover, but it is not enough for refining equipment. I do not intend to exchange it. My Wang clan is a small family and we only have 1 4th-tier spirit vein. I want to use the leftover earth essence to upgrade the grade of my spirit vein. Who knows, I might be able to add a small-scale 4th-tier spirit vein to my clan. Please forgive me." Since Xian Jiuxiao of the Archaic Arcanum sect was friends with Wang Daoyuan, this golden core cultivator did not want to become enemies with the Wang clan. "Little friend, you don't have to do this. It is human nature to do this." The exchange of the 4 powers ended quickly. Everyone left the Phoenix stage and returned to the Green Jade Pavilion. Wang Daoyuan could not return by himself. It was better to take the Zhou clan's flying warship or follow his master. Not long after the exchange ended, Zhou Jingyuan came looking for him. Wang Daoyuan looked at nephew Gu kindly and asked, "May I know why your highness has come?" Zhou Jingyuan did not answer but asked in return, "Daoyuan, why do I feel that your expression is not quite right? I often see this expression on the faces of the elders in my clan." Wang Daoyuan coughed lightly, "I have a higher seniority in the clan, so I usually interact with the younger generation. I am used to it." Although Zhou Jingyuan did not believe him, he did not pursue the matter and asked, "May I know if Daoyuan still has ageless pills?" Back then, when the various countries were fighting for hegemony, the Zhou clan declined and lost many things. The raw materials for ageless pills have also disappeared from the Zhou country. There are many female cultivators in the Zhou clan and there is a great demand for ageless pills. Wang Daoyuan answered, "There are no more ready-made ageless pills, so I can only go back and refine more. We are old friends. Since you have asked, I will sell some ageless pills to Daoyu in the future." Zhou Jingyuan smiled and said, "Thank you very much." After staying in the Qingtong Pavilion for 2 days, Wang Daoyuan bid farewell to Zhou Jingyuan. Zhou Jingyuan once again sent a flying warship to send him back. On the way, he needed to pass through the territory of the Canyang Palace. Riding a cloud back would be troublesome, so he did not decline. Zhong Zhenyang and Yulong Zhenren also shamelessly hitched a ride. Along the way, Yulong Zhenren kept trying to get close to Wang Daoyuan. It seemed that the Thousand Spirit sect also felt a lot of pressure when Song Yan was preparing for war. Yan'an County was a rising power and the Wang clan was an old vassal of the Zhao clan. The Thousand Spirit sect was really worried that Wang Daoyuan would side with the Zhao clan. When they arrived in the Zhao country, Yulong Zhenren asked, "Little friend Wang, what do you think of Song Yan?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "Song Yan is very capable, but he wants to be strong too much. He likes to take risks. This time he got a flying warship and the Divine Weapon Pavilion does not do business with the Song clan. Therefore I think Song Yan is very likely to take risks. As for the Wuqing Pass, your sect must be prepared to not be sneak attacked by the Song clan. Otherwise we can only fight the Song clan cultivators in the hinterland of the Zhao country." Zhong Zhenyang also deeply agreed. Yulong Zhenren nodded solemnly. Zhong Zhenyang and Yulong Zhenren disembarked at the Three River Market. Wang Daoyuan took the warship back to the Jade Spring Peak. Chapter 545. Wang Daoyuan arrived above Jade Spring Peak and discovered that the Black Tortoise water-repelling formation had been activated. The 12th uncle was meditating beside the Jade Dragon Spring. Upon seeing him return, the 12th uncle immediately deactivated the formation. Wang Daoyuan landed beside the Jade Dragon Spring and asked, "What happened to the clan while I was gone? Why are you so nervous?" The 12th uncle didn't speak directly and instead transmitted his voice. After you left, Jade Spring Peak encountered many spies. Some of them were very good at concealing themselves and I couldn't discover them. Fortunately, a senior transmitted his voice to me, so I discovered all the spies. I injured 2 Zifu realm cultivators and killed a dozen Peak Foundation establishment cultivators, so the number of spies decreased a bit. I was afraid someone would sneak in, so I activated the Great Mountain Protecting Formation. Was the senior who warned me your backup plan? Wang Daoyuan sensed the soul-devouring clone and discovered that he was hiding nearby. He nodded and said, "He should be my friend. I asked him to look after Jade Spring Peak. This is what I got from the auction. I still have some other gains that I need to deal with. Inform 5th great-uncle and 3rd brother that all the affairs of the family and the administrator's mansion can return to normal." After giving the 2 pieces of yin-yang purple jade and a piece of purple cloudwood core to the 12th uncle, he returned to his cave. After entering the cave, he smelled a familiar scent. He immediately opened all the restrictions in the cave and said with a smile, "Hall Master, I told you not to come unless it was a last resort. Why are you still staying in my cave?" Zhou Wan suddenly appeared and asked, "Didn't you say that black magic robe can hide from the detection of a half-step yuanying? How did you discover me?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "You didn't restrain your aura. We're already an old married couple. How can I not detect your scent?" Zhou Wan proudly said, "The Netherworld sect, the Northern Mountain half-demon tribe, and the Green Willow province all sent people to spy on Jade Spring Peak. The 12th uncle wasn't strong enough and couldn't discover a concealed Zifu realm cultivator. If not for my reminder, Jade Spring Peak might have already been taken. I've made such a great contribution. Is there any reward?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "You are indeed my virtuous wife. It's just that the bed in my cave residence is not sturdy enough. It's not suitable to reward you here, is it?" Zhou Wan pretended to be angry and said, "All day long you let your imagination run wild. I am asking you if you brought anything good for me when you came back from Zhou. The capital of Zhou country is the most prosperous place in Beiyuan Zhou Xian. You have the intention to use the ageless pill to please the female cultivators of the Wind Snow Deity Palace. But didn't you think of bringing back something new for me?" Wang Daoyuan had a strange expression on his face. "Can't your intelligence agency investigate something serious?" All he did was stare at these trivial matters. "I was doing business with the Wind Snow Deity Palace. What do you mean by pleasing them?" After saying this, he took out the jade slip he got from his master. "I got this from my master. It contains his experience on condensing spiritual fire with his divine ability." Zhou Wan's face lit up. "At least you have a conscience and didn't forget about me. Does Master know about me?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "Master is a half-step into the Yuanying realm. How could I hide it from him? When we met, he saw that my primordial yang was gone. I only told him that you are from the Zhou clan and that you have a small fire-type divine ability. I didn't tell him that you are the Blood Shadow Division's master and even asked for this secret technique for you. Master urged me to give him a grand disciple as soon as possible. Why don't we hurry up?" Zhou Wan rolled her eyes at him. "Since you are back, I don't need to stay here to look after the house anymore. I will go back to the north of the mountain to practice the secret technique. The spiritual qi in Jade Spring Peak is too dense. I don't feel comfortable staying here. After I finish dealing with the affairs at the administrator's residence, I will come back to the north of the mountain as soon as possible." After saying this, Zhou Wan hid her figure and left Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan controlled the devouring spirit and accompanied Zhou Wan back to the north of the mountain market. After that, he stored the jade needles, white jade pine and phoenix feather fur into the space of his spiritual pearl and planted them near the life spiritual fire. The scarlet blood ginseng, bloody worry and muscle-growing grass that were originally planted near the dust-returning flame were all uprooted. 2 acres of empty land were cleared and the seeds of the purple cloudwood were planted. The pure yin and yang qi produced by the gui water death flame and the scarlet yang true fire condensed purple qi near the dust-returning flame. Although it wasn't much, the purple qi was present all the time. The purple cloudwood continuously absorbed the purple qi. It was easier for it to grow a purple cloudwood core than the purple cloudwood that grew in the outside world. In the outside world, under suitable conditions and no one disturbed it, the purple cloudwood would need over 10,000 years to grow a purple cloudwood core. The four top forces all set up great formations in suitable places and used all kinds of methods to let the purple cloud would absorb more purple qi. Even so, the purple cloud would need more than 3,000 years to grow a purple cloudwood core. Wang Daoyuan did not have the ability to set up those great formations, but with enough purple qi, the speed at which the purple cloudwood core was formed might be faster. There was no need to keep the 1 acre of green jade bamboo in the space of his spiritual pearl. In these years he had not used it to refine weapons and had used it to eat bamboo shoots. It was enough to keep a few stalks of bamboo shoots. The space was cleared to plant the face-preserving elixirs. He could not take out too many face-preserving elixirs in a short period of time. 1 acre was enough. After dealing with the matters of the spiritual pearl, he began to study the sword talisman that he had exchanged. According to the records of the refining method, this sword talisman was called the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman. Once activated, the small silver sword would release 108 sword phantoms, sealing off an area of space. The sword phantoms would continuously release sword qi to attack the target in the space. This Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison was a sword formation type spell. If combined with a level 4 magic weapon long sword, its power would be considerable. With the refining method, it was possible to restore the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison spell. He would improve it so that it could be used together with the Sword Shadow Divine Light technique. At that time he would have another powerful killing move. The Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison cast by the Sword Talisman was just a sword phantoms condensed by the Sword Talisman. Its power was not much. Combined with his White Tiger Sword intent, it would not be difficult to kill an early-stage Golden Core cultivator like Gu Wangzong. But against an early-stage Golden Core cultivator with a small magical power, it was completely useless. If Wang Daoyuan himself was trapped in the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison, a full blow of the White Tiger Blade would be able to break the sword prison. When the sword talisman was filled with spiritual power and sword intent, it could be used 3 times. This was enough to kill 3 early-stage Golden Core cultivators at Gu Wangzong's level, and it could be used repeatedly. Wang Daoyuan himself did not need it, but it was excellent to leave it as a trump card for his clansmen. In the future, when his talisman level reached the upper middle grade of level 4, he could also deduce the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman. However, the material requirements for this Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman were also very high. It required level 4 refining materials such as Tai Gold and Heaven Ferocious Gold. The difficulty of refining it was not inferior to a magic weapon of the same level or even higher. Wang Daoyuan was now mainly practicing arrays, striving to become a level 4 array master as soon as possible, and set up the water-returning origin array. The matter of refining the Heaven-Sealing Sword Prison Talisman had to be arranged later. The current one would be nurtured first and left for the 12th uncle as a trump card of the clan. After staying in the cave for half a month, the jade needle, white jade pine and phoenix feather fur in the space of the spirit pearl were already stable and had begun to grow. It was just that these days the space of the spirit pearl was not very stable, and the spiritual energy was flowing rapidly. At first he did not take it seriously, but now it was getting more and more intense. The purple-gray mist outside the space was not as stable as usual, and it was constantly rolling. Wang Daoyuan's soul entered it and actually felt a trace of threat, as if a disaster was coming. When his soul left the space of the spirit pearl, he did not feel anything at all. This feeling was only felt in the space of the spirit pearl, and it was not targeted at him. His divine sense carefully explored the changes in the space and found that the spiritual energy was surging in the direction of the red-feathered crow. That guy had been sleeping for a long time, and now its wings were half open, sleeping on the red yang true fire. However, the spiritual energy fluctuation on its body was getting stronger and stronger, and it was infinitely close to a level 4 spiritual bird. Could it be that this guy was going to pass the heavenly tribulation in the space of the spirit pearl? Chapter 546. The space of the spiritual pearl was equivalent to a special secret realm. The secret realm was a subsidiary of the big world. If a heavenly tribulation appeared, its power would be no different from the outside world. However, the average Golden Core cultivator's tribulation cloud would have a diameter of more than 10 miles. The red-winged crow had the bloodline of the golden crow, and it also had the natal true fire. Its tribulation cloud would definitely be bigger. However, the space in the spiritual pearl was only so big. No matter what, it couldn't contain more than 5 kilometers of tribulation clouds. It was hard to say what the heavenly tribulation in the spiritual pearls space would be like. Spiritual plants and spiritual fires were things without spiritual intelligence, so the heavenly tribulation in the outside world wouldn't affect them. It should be the same in the space. However, he had to take both his clone and his spirit beast out of the spiritual pearls space. Otherwise, the heavenly tribulation would be aggravated and he would lose his life. He didn't dare to take the red-feathered crow out of the spirit pearls space and take it somewhere else to pass the tribulation. There was no rank 4 fire attribute spirit vein near the Jade Spring Peak, and the red-wing crow's heavenly tribulation could descend at any time. Once he took out the spiritual orb space, tribulation clouds could appear at any time. At that time, the fact that he had fooled the major forces would be completely exposed. It was better to let the red-feathered crow go through the tribulation in the spirit pearl space. After the tribulation, the gift of the world would be very beneficial to the growth of the spirit pearl space. After 3 days outside the space, the red-feathered crow woke up. At this time, its spiritual energy fluctuation had already reached the 4th level of low grade. About 100 feet above the red-feathered crow, a golden core illusory figure with a diameter of about 8 inches appeared. This golden core shadow was not much different from the golden core of a human cultivator. It was just that there was a vague pattern on the shadow that looked like a bird, but it was not very clear. Not long after the shadow of the Jindan fell, black clouds began to appear at the top of the space of the spirit pearl. Wang Daoyuan immediately put the avatar and all the other living creatures into the 100 spirits ring and brought them out of the space. He didn't dare to let his soul enter the space of the spiritual pearl. He could only enter the space between the outer shell of the spiritual pearl and the space to observe the situation. He left a few blood essence heaven reversal pills for the red-feathered crows. It was a healing pill that was suitable for humans. It might not be suitable for spirit beasts, but it would still be useful. As for the pills to restore spiritual power, there was no need for him to do anything. The scarlet yang real fire was right next to him. If he didn't have enough spiritual power, it would be enough to extract some spiritual fire essence from it. The space of the spiritual pearl, which had an area of about 40 mu, was quickly filled by the black clouds. Soon the black clouds began to shrink. It shrank to a diameter of about 10 feet and continued to expand. Once again it filled up the space in the spirit orb and then shrank again. After tossing and turning for more than 2 hours, it finally stopped expanding. At this time the black cloud was like a piece of black charcoal with a diameter of 10 feet. Hanging in the air right above the red-feathered crow. The red-feathered crow didn't dodge and stayed right next to the red yang real fire. Before spirit beasts transformed, they were completely unable to use magic artifacts and could only rely on brute force to transcend the tribulation. Wang Daoyuan couldn't help even if he wanted to. Whether or not he could survive the heavenly tribulation would depend on his luck. Soon the first tribulation lightning struck. The first 9 heavenly tribulations of spirit beasts were no different from those of humans. They were all very ordinary heavenly tribulations. After 9 heavenly tribulations, there would be a bloodline heavenly tribulation similar to the minor divine ability tribulations of humans. Once the bloodline heavenly tribulation was passed, the purity of the high-level demonic beast or divine beast bloodline would increase. As for how much it would improve, it would depend on one's luck. The ancestors' dragonfish's bloodline purity had greatly increased during the heavenly tribulation, allowing it to grow a nearly perfect dragon head. If the jade-scaled flood dragon he had killed before survived the heavenly tribulation, its claws might grow a 4th finger. Of course, no matter how great the luck was, it wouldn't directly transform into a divine beast. The red-feathered crow had never fought before. Wang Daoyuan was worried that it didn't know any spells and couldn't withstand the heavenly tribulation. He didn't expect it to have so many tricks up its sleeves. When the first heavenly tribulation struck, it directly dispersed it with its claws. Its actions were clean and neat. It didn't seem like a rookie who had never fought before. Instead, it seemed like an expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. This was most likely a bloodline inheritance. Divine beasts didn't reproduce as quickly as humans, and they didn't have unlimited room for growth. However, they had their own unique advantages and bloodline inheritance was one of them. They could obtain the inheritance of their ancestors from their bloodline as well as some combat skills. The first 6 heavenly tribulations didn't affect it at all. They didn't even touch its hair before they were all shattered. After 15 minutes, the purple heavenly tribulation lightning struck. The red-feathered crow was no longer relaxed. Its wings were burning with golden flames. It flapped its wings fiercely, and a golden fireball with a diameter of 5 inches appeared in front of it. The fireball flew toward the purple heavenly tribulation lightning. The purple heavenly tribulation lightning was shattered by the fireball, but the fireball didn't completely shatter. It had only shrunk a lot and its diameter was still about 1 inch. The red-feathered crow didn't wait for the next heavenly tribulation to strike. It spat out flames from its mouth and merged them with the fireball. The golden fireball quickly expanded, and its diameter soon reached more than 1 foot. The 8th heavenly tribulation lightning struck the fireball. This time the fireball was directly shattered, and the power of the heavenly tribulation lightning was only about 10% left. It hit the red-feathered crow's body and was forcefully resisted. After all, the red-feathered crow had the bloodline of a divine beast, and its body was extremely strong. This little bit of power was nothing to it. It only lost a few hairs and didn't cause much damage. Before the 9th heavenly tribulation lightning struck, the red-feathered crow started to prepare. This time it didn't condense a fireball. Instead, it burned its whole body with golden flames. Soon, the red-feathered crow turned into a 3-meter-wide fireball. After 10 seconds, the 9th heavenly tribulation lightning struck. A bucket-thick purple heavenly tribulation lightning struck from the dark clouds toward the red-feathered crow's fireball. This was a head-on collision. The flames on the red-feathered crow's body were instantly extinguished, and the power of the heavenly tribulation lightning was reduced by more than half. However, the remaining power of the heavenly tribulation lightning was still not to be underestimated. Most of the hairs on the red-feathered crow's body were scattered, revealing a large part of its skin. However, its wings and tail were unharmed. This time the red-feathered crow was heavily injured, but it wasn't to the point where it couldn't get up. It swallowed the pill and lay on the ground to refine it. At this moment the dark clouds above didn't seem to have changed at all. It still looked like a piece of black coal. After 15 minutes, a bird's cry came from the sky. It sounded like a crow's cry, but it wasn't hoarse. Instead, it had a sacred and inviolable feeling. Hearing this cry, the red-feathered crow trembled. Then a divine bird with a 3-meter-wide wingspan descended from the dark clouds. This divine bird looked like a crow and it had 3 golden claws. Its feathers were mostly black, but there were golden stripes around its eyes, spreading to its wings and tail. The feathers on its tail and wings were all golden. This should be the legendary golden crow. Although this golden crow's strength was only at the mid-4th stage, the aura it emitted was no different from the real golden crow. After all, the red-feathered crow's bloodline wasn't pure, so it was still afraid of the divine bird's aura. The tribulation golden crow pounced on it. The blood essence sky-restoring pill it had eaten before had also taken effect. Its injuries had healed 80 to 90%, and it didn't affect its strength much. The red-feathered crow pounced on the tribulation golden crow, and the 2 birds fought. However, the tribulation golden crow wasn't easy to deal with. It was stronger and suppressed by the divine aura. The red-feathered crow was completely at a disadvantage, and its bloody feathers kept falling. After 15 minutes, the red-feathered crow was covered in wounds and had almost no strength to resist. However, the tribulation golden crow still didn't give up and kept attacking it. The red-feathered crow let out a mournful cry, and the golden life feather on its tail burned, emitting a rich pure yang qi. Soon the red-feathered crow's body was burning. The red-feathered crow didn't look like a fireball now, but more like a golden sun. Its aura kept increasing and its speed became extremely fast. Gradually it was able to compete with the tribulation golden crow. This should be the red-feathered crow's minor magical power. It could turn into a sun and increase its strength in all aspects. Then the tribulation golden crow also turned into a golden sun, and collided with the golden sun. After a while the 2 suns dissipated at the same time. The red-feathered crow was turned into a piece of coal, and its body was still burning with golden flames. The tribulation's aura disappeared, but the dark clouds didn't dissipate. Wang Daoyuan checked the red-feathered crow with his divine sense. It was still alive, so it was definitely still alive. He was relieved. The red-feathered crow had succeeded in transcending the tribulation. Chapter 547. The red-feathered crow's life force was still quite strong. There was no risk of it dying, so there was no need to treat it. As for the golden flames on its body, they were quickly extinguished. This flame was extremely extraordinary. It should be the true sun fire. Wang Daoyuan wanted to save it, but he didn't succeed. Then he put the 100-spirit ring into the space of the spirit pearl and released his doppelganger and other living creatures. The red-feathered crow's tribulation was not weak. There were also many gifts from heaven and earth. It couldn't absorb all of them by itself, so other spirit beasts could also benefit. Wang Daoyuan also called Yun Yi into his cave residence and put it into the space of the spirit pearl. This guy had eaten a lot of bloodline pills and had reached the limit of a second-rank spirit beast. Now that there were gifts from heaven and earth, it might take the opportunity to break through. The tribulation cloud had been compressed many times. After the 9 tribulations and the bloodline tribulation, it was still as black as ink. It was impossible to see how much was left. Now that the tribulation was over and the red-feathered crow was still alive, the tribulation cloud began to turn golden. Moreover, the entire tribulation cloud gradually became bigger and soon covered the entire space of the spirit pearl. Wang Daoyuan's soul also entered it. The gifts from heaven and earth were also beneficial to the soul. After a few minutes, the tribulation cloud turned completely golden. Countless golden raindrops fell from the golden cloud. After the raindrops left the golden cloud, they all flew towards the red-feathered crow. With the nourishment of the golden raindrops, the red-feathered crow's life force rapidly increased. Soon it turned from a piece of coal into a bald bird. The golden raindrops continued to fall, and the red-feathered crow's life force continued to grow. After a while, black fur began to grow on its body. It was like a chick that had just come out of its shell. Then feathers grew from the black fur. The feathers on its body were all black. The feathers on its 2 wings also turned from pure gold to black. Only the long feathers were still pure gold. The tail feathers were still pure gold. Only the life feathers were completely golden. Near the eyes on its head there were golden stripes. It was very similar to the head of the heavenly tribulation golden crow. The wings were 3 meters long. The bloodline tribulation significantly increased the purity of the red-feathered crow's bloodline. It became more like a pure-blooded golden crow. After a few minutes, the red-feathered crow woke up. Its breath also stabilized. The golden raindrops no longer all drifted to it. The other things in the space also began to be nourished. After an hour, the golden raindrops gradually weakened and disappeared. The gift of heaven and earth lasted for more than an hour. Although it was not as long as Wang Daoyuan, it was still far better than the average golden core cultivator. The phase in the spatial zone had also obtained a lot of benefits, and the 5 spirit veins had finally entered Tier 4 medial grade. The 5 spiritual fires had also become upper grade stage 3 spiritual fires. Among them, the life spiritual fire was the strongest and was not far from becoming a stage 4 spiritual fire. The scarlet sun primordial flame also changed a little when the scarlet feather crow fought with the heavenly tribulation golden crow. The golden flames of the heavenly tribulation golden crow splashed everywhere, and the red yang primordial fire also absorbed a lot of it. Previously, the scarlet yang primordial fire was red with a hint of gold. It was mainly red with very little gold. Now that it was half red and half gold, the pure yang qi produced was also significantly stronger. There were no obvious changes to the spiritual plants and spiritual beasts, but the blood fire hibiscus was an exception. Previously, the golden flames of the heavenly tribulation golden crow had also splashed onto the blood fire hibiscus, and their spiritual power fluctuations had clearly increased. The largest blood fire hibiscus had just broken through to Tier 4 inferior grade not long ago, and now it was close to Tier 4 medial grade. Fat Tiger Yun Yi's body was close to 30 meters. It had absorbed a lot of golden raindrops just now and had fallen into a deep sleep. It might be about to break through to Tier 3. Wang Daoyuan controlled his clone to carry it to the empty space near the life spiritual fire and let it slowly sleep here. After the heaven and earth bestowment ended, the scarlet feather crow spread its wings and flew up, its body burning with reddish gold flames. Its life spiritual fire was originally mainly red with very little gold, but now the gold in the flames was slightly more than the red. The flames enveloped its entire body and soon, the outline of the scarlet feather crow could not be seen. Only a reddish gold sun could be seen, emitting a dazzling light that illuminated the entire space of the spirit pearl. This reddish-gold sun really felt like the sun of the outside world. The main divine power of the Golden Crow race was the sun primordial fire. This method of using the sun primordial fire to transform into a sun was also considered a divine power that used the sun primordial fire. It was called the blazing sun. It could increase one's strength in all aspects and was the main method to fight enemies. After all, the soul was still stronger than the soul, but it still did not like the reddish-gold light and immediately left the space of the spirit pearl. If evil cultivators or ghost cultivators who cultivated Yin Qi encountered this blazing sun divine power, they would not be able to unleash half of their strength. If they were weak, they would be directly turned into ashes. However, the spiritual plants in the spirit pearl space rather liked this light. Under the light, their growth was even better. Of course, the yellow spring willow was an exception. After 15 minutes, the scarlet feather crow retracted the flames into its body and the light disappeared. It landed on the highest branch of the blood-fire hibiscus tree and opened its mouth to let out a crow-like cry. Wang Daoyuan controlled his clone to talk to it. The scarlet feather crow could only let out a cry and could not speak human language. It seemed that for a spiritual bird to speak human language, it had to pass the transformation heavenly tribulation. After it passed the tribulation, it needed to properly comprehend its realm. Wang Daoyuan did not disturb it and cultivated array formations in his cave abode. A few days later, Zhou Xian sent him a message saying that there was important news. His panoramic perception clone, Lu Zong, came to Zhou Xian's cave abode and asked her, "Lord Hallmaster, what happened?" Zhou Xian replied, "I have planted spies in the Silver Fox and White Fox tribes. In the past few days, these half-demon tribes heard that nearby demon beasts had fled. After a few tribes investigated, they found out that there were new movements of the refined corpses in the Mirror Treasure Lake Oasis. 1 mid-grade level 4 refined corpse and 3 low-grade level 4 refined corpses left the secret realm and headed towards the east, entering the sky/mountain range. Previously, these refined corpses moved at night and would not leave the secret realm for too long. Once the sun came out, they would return to the secret realm. But now, these 4 refined corpses have been outside for 3 days and still have not returned to the secret realm." Wang Daoyuan asked, "Did the half-demon tribes grasp their specific movements?" Zhou Xian shook her head. "No, the half-demon tribes only heard that these 4 refined corpses attacked a few demon beasts living at the edge of the sky/mountain range. Thus, the nearby demon beasts all fled. Now, they should be continuing to go deeper into the sky/mountain range. No one knows the specific situation. It is hard to say what will happen in the future. If they are blocked by the sky/mountain range and turn south, then the family's business in Fallen Dragon Ridge will be in danger." After receiving this news, Wang Daoyuan was stunned. For level 4 refined corpses and one was mid-grade level 4. If these guys stayed together, it would be hard to deal with them. A level 4 demon beast could not take them down. Refined corpses had strong bodies and did not have souls, so they had almost no weaknesses. Unless they were restrained by lightning and fire laws, the 4 refined corpses could run rampant among demon beasts. Fortunately, the level 4 refined corpses did not appear. He could still deal with mid-grade level 4 refined corpses. Even if they reached the south of the mountain, he would not be helpless. Wang Daoyuan controlled his clone and said, "Lord Hallmaster, immediately hand black magic robe to Devouring Spirit and ask him to bring it to me. Once these refined corpses threaten the family's business, I will dare to go deep into the sky/mountain range to stop them with black magic robe." Then he controlled Devouring Spirit to go to Zhou Xian's cave abode. After taking the black magic robe, he left the underground branch and headed for Jade's Spring Peak. After Wang Daoyuan obtained the black magic robe, he sent Devouring Spirit out and let him enter the sky/mountain range to monitor the 4 refined corpses and the nearby demon beasts. If these 4 guys wantonly killed demon beasts in the sky/mountain range, the demon beasts would flee and it might cause a chain reaction that would lead to a beast tide. South Yen County might also be attacked, and the family's business and clansmen would suffer heavy losses. Chapter 548. After thinking about it, Wang Daoyuan felt that he couldn't bear this alone. He had to drag those bastards from the underworld sect down with him. The refined corpses had been out for so many years. No matter how stupid the underworld sect spies were, they should have figured out the situation of the refined corpses. The underworld sect's main inheritance was the corpse Dao and the ghost Dao. The Thousand Spirit sect's strength didn't just depend on the number of golden core cultivators, but also on the powerful demon beasts. If the underworld sect had a dozen more rank 4 refined corpses, their strength would definitely surpass the Thousand Spirit sect. They would naturally pay special attention to such a great opportunity. However, the refined corpses had always been gathered together before. A dozen rank 4 refined corpses guarded the secret realm. With the underworld sect's ability, even if all their golden core cultivators were to be sacrificed, the refined corpses wouldn't be full. Now that the refined corpses were scattered, the underworld sect would most likely be envious. If he wanted to drag those bastards down with him, he couldn't do it openly. If he told the underworld sect about this, they would definitely think that he was plotting something. This matter couldn't be rushed. Otherwise, if the underworld sect didn't take the bait, he would have to face the refined corpses and the possible beast tide alone. At present, he didn't know the situation of the refined corpses. He had to wait for Devouring Spirit to find out more information before making arrangements. Refined corpses didn't have spirits, only spirit essences. Moreover, the spirit essences were completely integrated with the body. Devouring Spirit's ability was to attack the soul. It didn't have much destructive power against the refined corpses. Refined corpses had almost no divine sense. Their eyes weren't very good either, but they were extremely sensitive to auras. Devouring Spirit was a hidden expert. Refined corpses couldn't find him. It wouldn't be a problem to hide and monitor the refined corpses. Before that, he couldn't help much. He could only continue to comprehend formations and become a rank 4 low-grade formation master as soon as possible. The administrator's residence still had to prepare early. There was no need to inform fifth granduncle about the whole story. He could just let him recruit more people into the Devil-Slaying Division and the War Division. The administrator's residence had a surplus of more than 1,000,000 spirit stones every year. They could still afford to recruit more people. Once there was a beast tide, more people would be of some use. After arranging all these, Wang Daoyuan took out a blank formation disc and started to inscribe rank 4 formation patterns. Half a month later, a tiger roar came from the space of the spirit pearl. Tu Yoming's doppelganger was shocked. Other than the scarlet-feathered crow, the other spirit beasts were also scared to the point of lying on the ground. The red-feathered crow was sleeping on the top of the blood-fire hibiscus tree. It was awakened by Yunyi's roar and let out a warning cry. Wang Daoyuan's panoramic perception clone Tu Yuming saw that Yunyi had already become a low-grade Tier 3 demonic beast. After all, it was only a third-rank demonic beast. Naturally, it didn't dare to go against the red-feathered crow. It immediately let out a low growl to show that it had surrendered, and the red-feathered crow didn't pay any more attention to it. After advancing, not only did Yunyi's body not increase in size, but it was also much smaller than before. She was only 30 feet long and her fat had also decreased by a lot. At least now that he was standing on flat ground, his stomach wasn't dragging on the ground. His appearance hadn't changed much, but the stripes on his body had changed. Previously, Fat Tiger was white with grayish-black stripes, but now it was pitch black. Especially the word King above his head, it was as black as ink. His eyes were originally no different from ordinary tiger-type demonic beasts. They were all yellowish-brown, but now they had also become pitch black. There was also a thick baleful aura and inchi in them. Wang Daoyuan's soul entered the space of the spirit pearl. Although Yunyi wouldn't have any malice towards him, his soul still felt threatened. It seemed that after Yunyi advanced, she had the effect of restraining souls. This wasn't surprising. The divine beast White Tiger had the effect of deterring evil spirits. According to myths and legends, there was a white tiger that specialized in eating evil spirits in Dushuo Mountain's Ghost Gate, Shintuyule. Ordinary tigers had the ability to control ghosts. Yunyi should be considered a mutated tiger now, so it was normal for her to have such an ability. He let his clone check the 10,000 Spirit Atlas and the records left behind by the 5 Elements Spiritual Master, but he didn't find the situation after Yunyi advanced. He wasn't sure what state Yunyi was in now. He took Yunyi out of the space of the Spirit Pearl and placed her in the cave. Soon Yunyi adapted to her current cultivation. The Yin Qi and baleful aura gradually converged. Other than the spiritual energy fluctuations becoming stronger, there wasn't much difference from usual. However, her eyes were still pitch black and she looked even more ferocious. Generally, after a demonic beast reached rank 3, they would have the ability to change size. Wang Daoyuan asked Yun Yi to try shrinking, but she rolled on the ground and wanted to roast meat. He asked his clone to roast some fierce blood pig meat. Yun Yi ate more than 50 kilograms before she reluctantly agreed to show off. Its fat body emitted a huge fluctuation of spiritual energy. Wang Daoyuan carefully sensed that Yun Yi's spiritual energy fluctuation had changed. Yun Yi Tiger was a pure water attribute spirit beast. Naturally, its spiritual energy fluctuation was only of the water attribute, but now it actually had a faint trace of the metal attribute. He didn't know if it was because the blood essence used to refine the bloodline pill came from the golden-eyed jade tiger, causing its spiritual energy attribute to be affected. As long as Yun Yi was fine, it didn't matter what attribute it had. It was the first time Yun Yi had become small, so she was still a little unfamiliar with it. Her body slowly shrank, and it took half a cup of tea's time to shrink to the limit. The current Yun Yi was only a foot long and looked like a fat cat. However, a spirit beast's weight would not change when it became big or small. Ordinary people really couldn't carry it. After teasing it for a while, Wang Daoyuan continued to practice inscribing array patterns. Half a month later, the clone returned from the depths of the heaven/mountain range and returned to a place less than 5,000 kilometers away from the Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan sensed the clone's movements and checked the movements of the refined corpses from his memories. These 4 refined corpses went deep into the heaven/mountain range and killed 3 low-grade rank 4 demonic beasts along the way. The demonic beasts below rank 4 suffered heavy losses. Those who were lucky enough to survive were also running around. However, their grades were low and didn't have much of an impact on the mountain south. Low-grade demonic beasts didn't have enough intelligence and weren't strong enough. They had no other choice but to run. However, rank 4 demonic beasts didn't lack strength or intelligence. It was just that their personalities were affected by their nature and were more reckless and irritable. However, being reckless and irritable wasn't stupid. They also knew how to find help. A few rank 4 demonic beasts worked together to resist the refined corpses. Thunder attribute demonic beasts were relatively rare, but there were still many fire attribute demonic beasts. Soon 7 rank 4 demonic beasts gathered. Among them 2 were mid-grade rank 4. There were 3 fire attribute demonic beasts. This strength was enough to kill the 4 refined corpses. These refined corpses weren't like headless flies. Instead, it was as if someone was controlling them. After they were at a disadvantage against the demonic beasts, they didn't continue to fight them head-on. Instead, they fled to a cave with Densin Qi and hid inside. Moreover, they even brought the 3 rank 4 demonic beasts in. The demonic beasts or humans killed by the refined corpses would also be tainted with corpse qi and death qi. Now that they were in a place with Densin Qi, it wouldn't be long before they turned into zombies. These zombies weren't as strong as the refined corpses. However, demonic beasts had strong bodies to begin with, so they wouldn't be too weak after turning into zombies. They still had strength comparable to ordinary rank 4 demonic beasts. After a few years, there would be 3 more rank 4 zombies. Demonic beasts also didn't dare to enter a place with Densin Qi. In this kind of place, the refined corpse's strength would increase greatly. On the contrary, the strength of demonic beasts and human cultivators would be affected. If they rashly went down like this, they would probably be delivering food to the refined corpses. The 7 rank 4 demonic beasts were guarding the entrance of the cave. They didn't dare to go down, nor did they dare to leave. They were still calling out to the demonic beasts that they were friends with to deal with these refined corpses together. When Devouring Spirit returned, it had already gathered 9 demonic beasts. After understanding the movements of the 4 refined corpses, Wang Daoyuan asked Zhou Luan about the movements of the refined corpses in the Yellow Spring Secret Realm. Those guys didn't make any moves. He let out a sigh of relief. At least they wouldn't affect Shannon for a short period of time. Master had previously said that he had prepared a magic tool to deal with rank 4 high-grade refined corpses. However, he still needed about 10 years to nurture it. Now he would delay as long as he could. When Master's magic tool arrived, he wouldn't be afraid of these refined corpses. Chapter 549. Wang Daoyuan ordered Devouring Spirit to continue monitoring the situation of the 4 refined corpses and report any abnormalities at once. He stayed in the cave abode and continued to study Tier 4 array formations. After more than 3 years of unremitting efforts, Wang Daoyuan finally succeeded in refining a set of low-grade Tier 4 array discs. To be able to refine a low-grade Tier 4 array disc meant that he was definitely a low-grade Tier 4 array master. Now he could already set up the myriad water origin array. Using array discs to set up the mountain protection array was not stable enough. It was best to set up a permanent array core. The myriad water origin array was a pure water attribute array formation. The Jade Dragon Spring Spirit Vein was also a pure water attribute spirit vein. Therefore it was best to refine the array core with water attribute materials. When the array was attacked, the array core would also be under great pressure. The strength of the array core material could not be too bad. There was no need to choose the materials to refine the array core. When the ancestor was still alive, the array core material used was deep-sea iron crystal sand. This was a high-grade Tier 3 water attribute metal material. Strength was not bad. It was not enough to refine offensive and defensive Dharma artifacts. It was usually used as an auxiliary material. It was completely fine to refine the array core directly. Back then, when several golden core cultivators besieged the Jade Spring Peak, the myriad water origin array did not fail. There was no need to collect the deep-sea iron crystal sand now. The family had already prepared it. Ever since the family developed Fallen Dragon Ridge and had a large surplus every year, they began to purchase deep-sea iron crystal sand from Wanchuan Market. This had been going on for more than 100 years. Even when the family was suppressed a few years ago, they had never stopped purchasing. It was just that the purchase volume was a little lower. After Wang Daoyuan formed his core, no one suppressed the Wang family anymore. The purchase volume also increased greatly. In these years they had purchased more than 100 caddies every year. From the name one could tell that this thing was produced in the sea. The deep-sea iron crystal sand that the Wang family purchased was transported from Linhai State to Wanchuan Market. The price was not too expensive. One caddy was only about 1,000 spirit stones. Now the family had accumulated more than 5,000 caddies of deep-sea iron crystal sand. It was more than enough to refine the array core and the connecting materials. Wang Daoyuan also planned to be generous for once. The array core and the connecting materials were all refined with deep-sea iron crystal sand. It was guaranteed that there would be no problems when it was attacked by a strong enemy. The Great Mountain Protection Array was the key to the survival of the clan. What was a few million spirit stones to it? He told third brother that he was going to start setting up the myriad water origin array. The third brother hurried to the treasury and took out all the deep-sea iron crystal sand that he had accumulated for more than 100 years, delivering them to the entrance of Wang Daoyuan's cave. Wang Daoyuan got the materials and went into seclusion. This time he did not rely on his avatar. Every formation eye and every connecting material were refined by him personally. He could guarantee that there would not be any problems. The myriad water origin formation had a total of 41 formation eyes. It took him half a year to finish refining the formation eyes and refining materials. After that it took him a year to inscribe the runes. Now that the formation eye and the connecting materials were all refined, it was time to start setting up the formation. There was no need to choose the location of the formation eye or the method of connection. The remains of the formation from back then were still there. Wang Daoyuan deduced for a while and didn't find a better way to set up the array. He might as well use these old places to continue setting up the array. The myriad water origin formation was both an offensive and defensive formation. It also had a defensive light shield. Even if the opponent knew where the formation eye was, they wouldn't be able to threaten it from the outside. He only needed to leave some measures around the formation eye to prevent thieves from destroying it. The work of setting up the formation disc and connecting the runes was relatively simple. It only took him a few days to finish setting it up. The core formation eye was naturally placed in the ancestral temple. He entered the ancestral temple and closed the black tortoise water repelling formation. Then he activated the myriad water origin formation. A wave of spirit energy that only golden core cultivators could have instantly erupted. A huge spirit energy shield enveloped the entire Jade Spring Peak. All the spirit energy in the Jade Spring Peak spirit vein was absorbed by the myriad water origin formation. This was spirit energy that could provide for several golden core cultivators to cultivate at the same time. Its power was self-evident. Then he let the 12th uncle control the formation while he tested the power of the myriad water origin formation from the outside. He rode a cloud and flew outside the formation. The 12th uncle used the power of the formation to cast the water dragon technique and condensed a water dragon that was nearly 10,000 feet long. The spirit energy of this water dragon had reached the level of a low-grade 4th-tier spirit energy. Wang Daoyuan took out the white tiger blade and used the sword shadow divine light technique to condense 10 sword shadows. Now, the power of one of the sword shadows of the sword shadow divine light technique had already reached 40% of the power of the white tiger blade. The water dragon swept towards him. 5 sword shadows were released at the same time, and the water dragon was destroyed. Then 2 more water dragons attacked him, but they were shattered again. This was the characteristic of the myriad water origin formation. The formation's spirit energy was endless. In terms of consumption, how could a golden core cultivator compete with a level 4 spirit vein that was hundreds of miles long? Moreover, the power of an early-stage golden core cultivator's water dragon technique was not a joke. Ordinary early-stage golden core cultivators could only resist 1 water dragon. However, the 12th uncle could condense 3 water dragons at the same time with his late-stage Violet Palace Realm cultivation. If Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon technique, he could condense more than 10 water dragons at the same time. Moreover, the power of the water dragons he condensed was very close to the mid-stage golden core cultivator. Of course, condensing too many water dragons at the same time would consume a lot of spiritual energy. After the 12th uncle formed his core and controlled the formation, its power would only be stronger than this. This was the reason why the cultivators of the Netherworld sect were still helpless when the Wang clan's cultivators were almost wiped out. This kind of formation was both offensive and defensive. If the enemy could not deal with the water dragons at the periphery, they would not be able to get close to the defensive light shield, let alone find the formation's weakness. The myriad water origin formation also had a defensive light shield. The 3 water dragons condensed by the 12th uncle were all integrated into the defensive light shield. Wang Daoyuan's 10 sword shadows were released at the same time, but they were still unable to break through the defensive light shield. Then he took out his 5 natal magic artifacts and condensed them into the 5 elements devil subduing seal. He pressed it on the defensive light shield and gradually increased the input of spirit energy. The 12th uncle also activated the formation with all his strength. The myriad water origin formation was not called for nothing. It could extract spirit energy from the clear glass river to increase its own strength. It was only when Wang Daoyuan used 70% of his strength that the defensive light shield became somewhat unstable. The 5 elements devil subduing seal could directly resist an ordinary late-stage golden core cultivator. 70% of its power could only make the light shield unstable. There was no doubt that the current myriad water origin formation could defend against most mid-stage golden core cultivators. This battle was comparable to a battle between mid-stage golden core cultivators. Naturally, there was no lack of curious onlookers. However, they did not dare to get too close. They all watched from a distance of 50 kilometers. However, the clansmen on the Jade Spring Peak could see very clearly. Wang Daoyuan no longer attacked. The 12th uncle also closed the formation and came out of the ancestral shrine. The 12th uncle's forehead was covered in sweat and his face was somewhat pale. The pressure of activating the myriad water origin formation with all his strength was still too great for him. Although his condition was not good, he was in a good mood. He laughed and said, "This can be considered as me experiencing the strength of a golden core cultivator in advance. In the future, our clan will not be afraid of a golden core cultivator's attack." The clansmen of the Jade Spring Peak were all overjoyed. The Jade Spring Peak was impregnable, which was good for everyone. The 3rd brother was very envious. He was a fire attribute cultivator. Even when he controlled the myriad water origin formation, he could only condense a defensive light shield. He could not display any power at all. He could not even deal with an early-stage golden core cultivator, let alone display power comparable to a mid-stage golden core cultivator. Wang Daoyuan returned to the Jade Spring Peak and checked the formation's core and connecting lines. If there was a problem with the formation lines, it would be difficult to see under normal circumstances. However, after a great battle, the damaged areas would naturally show up. His efforts over the past year had not been in vain. After careful inspection, he did not find any obvious flaws in the formation lines. The few small flaws were also relatively easy to fix. After the repairs were completed, Wang Daoyuan personally controlled the formation and condensed 13 water dragons to attack at the same time. The power of this attack could easily kill a mid-stage golden core cultivator. Wang Daoyuan also heaved a sigh of relief when the myriad water origin formation no longer had any problems. Even if there was a great beast tide in the future, the Jade Spring Peak would not fall so easily with a golden core cultivator overseeing the clan. No matter how great the other losses were, the clan's foundation would not be shaken. Chapter 550. In the past few years that Wang Daoyuan had been studying array formations, his doppelganger hadn't been idle either. He had investigated the situation of the refined corpses and reported it to him. In the past few years, the refined corpses' lair at Treasure Mirror Lake still hadn't made any movements. The few refined corpses that had entered the sky/mountain range were also trapped in the Yin Energy Cave. There were already more than 10 rank 4 demonic beasts guarding outside the cave. The refined corpses had also tried to rush out a few times, but they were all blocked by the demonic beasts. The demonic beasts below rank 4 that had been chased away by the refined corpses previously ran around and disturbed the periphery of the sky/mountain range. Fallen Dragon Ridge was still somewhat affected. However, the demonic beasts they encountered were all rank 2 or 3. Fallen Dragon Ridge's array formation could block rank 2 demonic beasts. In order to block the rank 3 demonic beasts, Wang Daoyuan sent Yun Yi over. After this fellow advanced, its roar was even more intimidating. Ordinary rank 3 demonic beasts didn't dare to approach as long as they heard its roar. However, there were also a few daring rank 3 upper-grade demonic beasts that Yun Yi alone couldn't suppress. The 12th uncle also often ran over to Fallen Dragon Ridge to help. The array formation of the 2 easternmost mountains of Fallen Dragon Ridge had been broken several times, and hundreds of clansmen were killed or injured. In the past, when Fallen Dragon Ridge was attacked by demonic beasts, it wasn't uncommon to lose some clansmen. However, the situation in the past few years was a bit delicate. Wang Daoyuan put all his attention on studying array formations and didn't have time to care about the matters there, so he didn't take any forceful measures. In order to reduce the loss of clansmen, he moved all the ordinary clansmen there to the west. Of course, he couldn't completely give up the territory. After giving up the 2 easternmost mountains, the mountains in the middle became the first line and would still be attacked by demonic beasts. The 2 easternmost mountains were used as the front line to defend against demonic beasts. 2 foundation establishment cultivators and a few chi refinement cultivators were left to guard the array formation. Yuni was also there to guard. These 2 foundation establishment cultivators were also given rank 3 inferior grade golden lightning demonic annihilation talismans. If they encountered rank 3 demonic beasts that Yuni couldn't suppress, they would throw out the talismans. Even if they couldn't kill the demonic beasts, they would be scared out of their wits. They could stall for time and wait for reinforcements from Jade Spring Peak. Passively defending wasn't a long-term solution. If there was an opportunity, they still had to counterattack. After the 10,000 water returning formation was set up, Wang Daoyuan ordered the Demon Execution Division of the Envoy Residence to move around Fallen Dragon Ridge. In the past, they were afraid of causing too much of a reaction from the demonic beasts, which would greatly affect the clan's businesses. Therefore, when the Demon Slayers Division killed rank 3 demonic beasts, they would try their best to move southeast of the 100 River Lake. Now, the attention of the rank 4 monsters in the sky/mountain range was attracted by the refined corpses in the north of the mountain. They didn't have time to care about the south of the mountain. Now that he could free up his hands, he could take down 1 or 2 4th-order low-grade demonic beasts. If the demonic beasts were allowed to wreak havoc sooner or later, it would lead to a beast tide. Instead of waiting for them to attack their own territory, it was better to take the initiative and kill them. Wang Daoyuan did not stand on ceremony with those rank 3 demonic beasts. He directly sent out cultivators from the Demon Slaying Division and flying warships to clear out the rank 3 demonic beasts near Fallen Dragon Ridge. The clan now had a total of 8 flying warships. Among them, 1 3rd-order high-grade and 1 3rd-order middle-grade were made by Wang Daoyuan. The other 6 were refined by the clan members themselves. Zhao Liang and little uncle Wang Shouja were refining the flying warships at Clear Sky Peak. A few 2nd-order high-grade blacksmiths and array masters were assisting them, so their standards improved very quickly. They also nurtured 2 3rd-order low-grade blacksmiths and 1 3rd-order low-grade array master. Zhao Liang and Wang Shouxia had also improved. Zhao Liang had already become a third-order middle-grade blacksmith, and Wang Shouxia was already a third-order middle-grade array master. With 5 people directly involved in refining the flying warships, the speed naturally increased greatly. However, the Netherworld sect had set a limit. If there were more than 10 flying warships, half of them would have to be sold to the Netherworld sect. They would still be sold at cost price. Wang Daoyuan naturally wouldn't be so stupid. He had already thought of a countermeasure. After collecting 10 flying warships, he would continue to refine the entire set of parts of the flying warships. However, he wouldn't assemble them. As long as he didn't assemble them, there wouldn't be more than 10 flying warships. It wasn't difficult to assemble the flying warships. Second-order blacksmiths could do it. Now the family didn't lack second-order blacksmiths and array masters. If they really needed to use them, they could assemble one in a day or two. On the Demon Slayers division side, there were more than 200 people now. They were all cultivators in the middle and late stage of Foundation establishment. Together with the 8 flying warships, killing third-order low-grade demonic beasts was simply like chopping melons and vegetables. In order to avoid causing a big commotion, Wang Daoyuan gave them spirit-restricting silk cloaks. Before they attacked, the demonic beasts were difficult to detect. After they attacked, they also entered and exited quickly. After killing the demonic beasts, they turned and ran. When the demonic beasts nearby calmed down, they attacked again. In just over a month's time, all the third-order low-grade demonic beasts within 1,000 miles of Fallen Dragon Ridge were wiped out. In order to avoid exposing the 5 elements mystic realm, Wang Daoyuan didn't let them continue to the north. Instead, they turned south. After killing all the third-order low-grade demonic beasts here, even if there was a beast tide in the future, the losses would be much smaller. The eastern end of Fallen Dragon Ridge was more than 1,500 miles away from the sky/mountain range. If some Foundation establishment cultivators caused trouble in this area, the fourth-order demonic beasts wouldn't care. Moreover, the current situation was chaotic enough. There were many demonic beasts roaming around and there would be fights between them. The death of a few third-order low-grade demonic beasts wouldn't attract attention. Wang Daoyuan stayed in Jade Spring Peak for another half a year. The Demon Slayers division was more daunting than dangerous, so he was relieved. These few years he had been busy with array formations. It was also time to raise his cultivation. After greeting third brother and fifth granduncle, he concealed himself and went to the Shanbei branch. When he arrived at Zhou Wan's cave abode, he found that she was working hard to cultivate the secret technique. Wang Daoyuan didn't disturb her. He took out the refining method of the sky-sealing sword prison talisman and lay on the recliner in the backyard to comprehend it. He prepared to use this as a foundation to deduce the sky-sealing sword prison dharma spell. Then he would modify it and cooperate with the sword shadow divine light technique. Talismans and dharma spells originated from the same source, so it wasn't difficult to do this job. With his own comprehension, a few years would be enough. Not long after, Zhou Wan walked out of her room with a dejected expression and came to Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan asked, "My Lord Hallmaster, what happened to you?" Zhou Wan replied dejectedly, "It's still a matter of using a small divine ability to condense spiritual fire. I've been cultivating for a few years, but I haven't made any progress." Wang Daoyuan hugged her and comforted her. "My master Lei Yanzhenren is also very rare in terms of talent. He also used dozens of years to condense the purple thunder divine flame. It's only been a few years, so don't be too anxious. It just so happens that I'm here." With the spiritual fire as a reference, your speed should be much faster. The matter of condensing spiritual fire can't be rushed. Why don't we increase our cultivation first? Hearing his words, Zhou Wan's mood also improved a lot. "Don't think too much. Release your fire attribute spiritual fire and let me comprehend it. Let's see how it works." Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't have any objections. He condensed a scarlet sun primordial flame in his hand. Zhou Wan's divine sense probed into the spiritual fire. After comprehending for a long time, she didn't gain anything. After all, the core of the spiritual fire was the fire seed. There was only a bit of spiritual fire essence in the scarlet sun primordial flame, so she couldn't comprehend anything. Wang Daoyuan could only take out the scarlet sun primordial flame from the space in the spirit pearl and let her comprehend it carefully. After staying here for more than 2 years, Zhou Xian had made a lot of progress in condensing spiritual fire. Although there was still a long way to go before she could truly condense spiritual fire, at least there was some progress. The two's cultivation had also improved a lot. They were not far away from the middle stage Aurus core. At this rate they would be able to break through within a year. But at this time the refined corpses in the Yellow Spring secret realm became restless again. A few refined corpses began to leave the secret realm and attacked the half-demons and demons in the south. In a short period of time the Silver Fox and White Fox tribes in the southeast of the Mirror Treasure Lake suffered heavy losses. The bloodthirsty Ash Wolf Pack's Bloodfang Wolf King was also injured by the refined corpses. These fellows couldn't resist the refined corpses themselves, so they asked Wang Daoyuan for help. The demons and half-demons were already fighting fiercely. Now that the refined corpses were causing trouble everywhere, the entire northern mountain was in chaos. Chapter 551. Originally, he wanted to cultivate until the middle stage of the Jindan realm before waiting for his master to finish nurturing the magic tool that his master had refined. At that time he would be able to kill a fourth stage high-grade refined corpse. However, he didn't expect that the refined corpse would take the initiative to attack, and it came from the south. If the refined corpses went in other directions, then they could do whatever they wanted. However, apart from a few half-demon tribes and a pack of bloodthirsty ash wolves in the south, there was nothing else that could stop the refined corpses. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to ignore the demons and half-demons' cries for help. Once the bloodthirsty ash wolves and the Silver Fox tribe collapsed, the only thing left between Jade Spring Peak and the refined corpses was Mount Huiyan. Mount Huiyan, which was north of Jade Spring Peak, was already a remnant of the mountain range. There were no high-rank demonic beasts here, so it was completely useless for refining corpses. Refined corpses would be able to drive straight to the south of the mountain. At that time he would have to deal with a group of refined corpses alone. The only thing he could do was to disrupt his plan and help him block the refined corpse. Wang Daoyuan and the two parties agreed to meet between the Blood Wolf Mountain and the Silver Fox tribe. Now the Blood Wolf Mountain had 3 rank 4 monstrous beasts. Other than the half-dead Ash Wolf King, there were also Blood Fang King and Fierce Tooth King. The Blood Wolf Mountain was originally the territory of the Ash Wolf King. Later it was forced by the half-demon and asked other wolves for help. Blood Fang King and Blazing Red King were here to help Ash Wolf King look after the place. Their tribe had also migrated to the vicinity of Blood Wolf Mountain. There were 2 golden core half-demons on the half-demon side. Aside from the Silver Fox tribe's fox spirit, there was also the tribe leader of the Dark Fox tribe, Ming Exen. The Underworld Fox tribe was originally very far from Mount Blood Wolf, but due to the conflicts between the demons and half-demons, there were many demons in the original location of the Underworld Fox tribe. Ming Exen was afraid that his tribe would be attacked, so he ran to the vicinity of the Silver Fox tribe. It just so happened that the Silver Fox tribe was alone. Naturally they welcomed the Dark Fox tribe. The Ash Wolf King was half dead, and the bloodthirsty Ash Wolves could only send out 2 Wolf Kings. Both sides were evenly matched. Both the Wolf King and the 2 half-demons weren't very strong. With Wang Daoyuan's strength, even if someone attacked him, he was confident that he could escape unscathed. After saying goodbye to Zhou Xian, he went straight to the meeting place. This was a meeting, so Wang Daoyuan did not hide his figure. After leaving returning Wild Goose City Square, he swaggered and flew on a cloud. Soon they arrived at the meeting place. In order to show their sincerity, the Devil Race and Half-Devil Race were negotiating on a small hill without a spirit vein. It was not easy to set up a permanent formation in such a place. This was also to reassure Wang Daoyuan. On a small piece of flat land halfway up the mountain, there were 5 praying mats. 4 of them were already occupied. Wang Daoyuan rode a cloud and landed halfway up the mountain. He cupped his hands and said, "Greetings to the 4 Daoyu." The 4 of them returned his salute. Wang Daoyuan sized them up. He had met Hu Ling and Blood Fang Monarch at Wild Goose Gathering Tower. The fox spirit was still the same. Blood Fang King's face was pale and he looked like he was about to collapse. Roaring Tooth Monarch and Blood Tooth Monarch looked similar, but this Ming Exen was a standard fox spirit. Ming Exen was a rather thrifty half-fiend. She wore a tight black leather jacket that accentuated her curvaceous figure. Her face was like a peach blossom and her eyes were like autumn waves. As soon as Wang Daoyuan landed, she threw flirtatious glances at him. She was most likely cultivating the Tao of charm. Wang Daoyuan did not look at her for long and looked away. If he fell for it and brought a half-fiend back with Zhou Wan's personality, she would turn Jade's spring peak upside down. With the Heart Sutra of Cloud and Rain, one Zhou Wan would not be a problem. However, if there was another half-fiend cultivating the Tao of charm, even if he could take it, his waist would not be able to hold it. Hu Ling spoke first. Dai, the four of us are powerless to stop the refined corpses invading the south. We can only ask for your help. Wang Daoyuan asked. The half-fiends of the fox race are also a big race in the northern mountains. Needless to say, the bloodthirsty ash wolves. Why don't you ask for help from your own race instead of a human cultivator? Hu Ling sighed. The half-fiends of the fox race mainly cultivate the art of charm and illusion, which is ineffective against refined corpses. The innate art of the bloodthirsty ash wolves is related to sucking blood, but refined corpses don't have blood. To deal with refined corpses, we can only rely on our own spiritual energy to resist them. The lethality of our spells is extremely low. Last time 4 refined corpses came. 2 of them were mid-grade and 2 of them were low-grade. The 4 of us did not have the ability to severely injure them, but their attacks could easily injure us. Blood Fong King Daoyu was injured by a refined corpse. If we did not have many tricks up our sleeves, I'm afraid we would have died in their hands last time. The juniors in the tribe are weak and did not even have time to escape. We suffered heavy losses. If Daoyu does not help us, we can only give up our territory and leave. Wang Daoyuan naturally could not ignore it. The refined corpses are our common enemy, so I naturally will not leave them alone. It's just that I don't know much about refined corpses, so I don't have much confidence in killing them. If the refined corpses come again, I can try to kill a low-grade 4th-grade refined corpse. The other refined corpses will be held back by the 4 of you. Hearing this, the 4 of them were overjoyed. Ming Exen hurriedly winked and said coquettishly, I knew Big Brother Wang would not leave us in the lurch. On the side, Roaring Tooth King could not stand it anymore. Enough, Ming Exen. As far as I know, Daoyu is only a little over 200 years old. He is considered extremely young among human golden core cultivators. You are 1,000-year-old witch who can be his ancestor for dozens of generations. Yet you still have the nerve to call him Big Brother. Aren't you afraid of disgusting Daoyu? Ming Exen was about to retort, but Hu Ling immediately stopped her. This was to prevent the 2 of them from quarreling and affecting their upcoming joint battle. He hurriedly changed the topic. Ming Exen is a mid-grade golden core cultivator, and Roaring Tooth King is also a mid-grade 4th-grade refined corpse. The 2 of them should have no problem holding back 2 mid-grade 4th-grade refined corpses. Blood Tooth King and I are slightly lower in cultivation, but we can hold back 1 low-grade 4th-grade refined corpse each to create an opportunity for Daoyu. Roaring Tooth King ignored Ming Exen and asked Wang Daoyuan instead. I heard that Daoyu has the life spiritual fire that can heal injuries. I wonder if it can heal Blood Tooth King's injuries. He was injured by the refined corpses, and his wounds have corpse and death chi that corrode his body. It is difficult for him to use his full strength. Wang Daoyuan was unhappy. It was most likely that the underworld sect had tricked him and revealed his life spiritual fire to the demon race. They did not dare to attack him, so they wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. The human forces were afraid of Lei Yanzhenren, but the demon race was not. Lei Yanzhenren would not dare to act rashly if the demon race killed Wang Daoyuan and hid in the sky/mountain range. After all, there were demon kings comparable to half-step Yuanying in the sky/mountain range. Since the other party had already said it, if Wang Daoyuan refused, it would seem too insincere. He nodded and said, in front of a great enemy, we naturally have to face a common enemy. Helping Bloodtooth King heal his injuries is reasonable. Bloodtooth King lifted his robe and revealed his left arm. There were 5 claw marks on the side of his forearm. The wounds had turned black and emitted a thick corpse stench. However, Bloodtooth King was a 4th-grade demon beast and his spirit energy was not weak. Corpse and death chi could not take his life, but it would take a long time for him to recover. Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of life spiritual fire from his fingertip and placed it on Bloodtooth King's wound. Sizzling sounds of corrosion could be heard, and the corpse stench became thicker. The life spiritual fire's vitality and death chi countered each other, but Wang Daoyuan did not expect it to have a restraining effect on corpse chi as well. Corpse qi and death qi were not the same thing, but they were of the same origin. They were both derived from yin qi and were similar in nature. Refined corpses had yin qi and death qi coexisting, while ghosts only had death qi. The effect would be stronger if he used the scarlet yang true fire, but Wang Daoyuan did not dare to take it out. After half a cup of tea's time, the death qi was completely exhausted, and the corpse qi was also depleted by 70 to 80%. Blood Tooth King also began to use his own blood energy to cleanse the remaining corpse qi. 15 minutes later, Blood Tooth King's injuries were completely healed. Both Blood Tooth King and Roaring Tooth King cupped their hands in thanks. Blood Tooth King said, "Thank you, Daoyu, for your help. Otherwise, I don't know how long this injury would have lasted. This time I owe Daoyu a favor. If you need my help in the future, just ask." Chapter 552. Most of the demon race's fellows were honest men. Everything was laid out on the table. He said that he owed Wang Daoyuan a favor, so if Wang Daoyuan asked him for help in the future, he would definitely not decline. Although humans and demons could not coexist, they were opponents worthy of respect. Unlike those cowardly rats from the underworld sect, they did not dare to do so openly and did not have the guts to scheme against others. They did not have the arrogance of demons. After reaching an agreement, they would return to their own territories. Ming Exin continued to tease, "Brother Daoyuan, I didn't expect you to be so young. You formed your golden core at 200 years old, you must be focused on cultivation. I'm afraid you don't even know about the matters between men and women. Why don't you come to my underworld fox tribe? Sister will teach you." Wang Daoyuan was disdainful. "Is there anyone who does not know how to do this? Furthermore, what have I not seen in my previous life? In this life it's hard to say who will teach who." However, he still had a pure look on his face and smiled. "No need, the enemy is right in front of us. Ming X and Daoyu should prepare more countermeasures." Fierce Tooth King mocked, "Old witch, Daoyu doesn't like you, don't embarrass yourself." Seeing that the two were about to fight again, Hu Ling and Blood Tooth King quickly stopped them and finally stopped. After they left, Wang Daoyuan could not help but shake his head. What is wrong with these fox half-demons? The White Fox tribe always wanted him to marry into their family, and then they asked him to be the matchmaker. This underworld fox, on the other hand, wanted to teach him about the matters between men and women. The refined corpse could come here at any time, so he did not return to Wild Goose Market. Wild Goose Market was more than 10,000 miles away. Once the refined corpse attacked, by the time he came to help, most of the demons and half-demons here would have been dead. This small hill was not bad, not far from the half-demon tribe. He could help at any time. This place was unfamiliar and there was no formation protection. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to cultivate here, so he studied the heaven-sealing sword prison. In these 2 years, other than cultivating hard, he also restored the heaven-sealing sword prison. When this spell was cast personally, its power was naturally much stronger than the sword talisman. However, it was still difficult to modify it to work with the Sword Shadow Divine Light technique. After all, the predecessor of the Sword Shadow Divine Light technique was a spell created by an ancient great power. To directly modify it was not something that Wang Daoyuan, a golden core cultivator, could do. Even modifying the sky-sealing sword prison so that it could be used with the Sword Shadow Divine Light technique was an extremely difficult task. Now, the only thing he could do was to sneak 10 sword shadows into the sword prison and launch a sneak attack on his opponent when he used the Sealing Heaven sword prison. It was impossible to use the sword shadows to increase the strength and power of the sword prison. After staying in the small hill for 3 days, Hu Ling and Ming Exin sent him a message asking for help. A small tribe north of the Silver Fox tribe was attacked by refined corpses. Hu Ling and Ming Exin had rushed over and informed the 2 wolf kings of the bloodthirsty ash wolf. At this critical moment, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to delay. He immediately rode a cloud and rushed to the small tribe that had been attacked. This small tribe was not far from here. In less than half a cup of tea's time he had rushed over. Looking from the sky, there were indeed 4 refined corpses. There were 2 low-grade and 2 mid-grade tier 4 corpses. 2 of the 4 refined corpses were entangled with Hu Ling and Ming Exin, while the other 2 were attacking the small tribe's defensive formation. Wang Daoyuan did not say anything. He took out the white tiger blade and attacked the low-grade tier 4 refined corpse that was entangled with Hu Ling. This refined corpse was also in human form. The other low-grade tier 4 refined corpse was a black bear. Human-shaped refined corpses were weaker and easier to deal with. When the refined corpse saw Wang Daoyuan attacking, it actually broke free from Hu Ling and fled downwards. Although Tier 4 refined corpses regained some intelligence, their intelligence was usually very low, similar to that of ordinary wild beasts. This fellow actually ran away decisively after encountering two opponents of the same level. Wang Daoyuan's sneak attack failed, so he went to help Ming Exen deal with the mid-grade Tier 4 refined corpse. This fellow was a vulture with a wingspan of more than 30 meters. It was born to be able to fly. Even at Tier 4, its agility and speed in the air still surpassed that of ordinary demonic beasts. However, this vulture had already become a refined corpse. Its agility was much lower, but it was still not easy to deal with. Seeing Wang Daoyuan chasing after it, it did not continue fighting. It retracted its wings and quickly dove downwards. At this moment, Blood Fang King and Roaring Tooth King also rushed over. Wang Daoyuan transmitted his voice to them. The low-grade Tier 4 refined corpse is the easiest to kill. Each of you hold one back. I'll wait for an opportunity to finish it off. The four of them were all experienced in battle and did not need to discuss how to fight. Ming Xian's methods were mainly charm and illusions. They did not have much destructive power against refined corpses, so they did not expect her to have any results. But after all, she was a mid-stage golden core cultivator. Holding back a mid-grade Tier 4 refined corpse was not a problem. She would hold back the most troublesome vulture. The other human-shaped mid-grade Tier 4 refined corpse was naturally given to Roaring Tooth King. Although spells could not restrain it, the bloodthirsty ash wolf's physical strength was extremely strong. It would not be a problem for it to suppress the human-shaped mid-grade Tier 4 refined corpse. As for the remaining low-grade Tier 4 refined corpse, it was the other way around. Fox Spirit would hold back the bear while Blood Fang King used his physical strength to suppress the human-shaped refined corpse, creating an opportunity for Wang Daoyuan. Tier 4 refined corpses were not as agile as half-fiends and fiends. They could not choose their opponents. As soon as the fight began, Blood Fang King revealed his bloodthirsty ash wolf's true form. He turned into a 3-meter-long green-black demon wolf with fangs half a foot long in his mouth. It would not be a problem for him to suppress the human-shaped refined corpse. Moreover, his size would not affect his agility. Soon, Blood Fang King threw the human-shaped refined corpse to the ground and pressed its two front paws on the corpse's arms. Suppressing his disgust, he bit down on the corpse's head. Tier 4 refined corpses were strong, but they were still in human form. Compared to the bloodthirsty ash wolf, their physical strength was still a bit lacking. Tier 4 refined corpses were not only strong physically, but could also use simple spells. It spat out a cloud of black smoke to attack Blood Fang King. At the same time, Blood Fang King unleashed all of his qi and blood. His blood-red qi and blood surged out, forming a light shield that blocked the corrosive black smoke. Wang Daoyuan would not let go of this opportunity. He took out the vermilion bird fan and condensed a ball of green flame in his hand. He threw it at Blood Fang King. Then he activated the vermilion bird fan to increase the power of the flame. He did not use the flame to attack. Instead, he let the flame release its vitality. Blood Fang King was surrounded by the flame and was not hurt at all. Instead, he felt refreshed. However, the refined corpse that was being suppressed was extremely unhappy. The vitality released by the fire of life was constantly dissolving the corpse in death qi. The refined corpse's physical strength was supported by these two things. Once it was used up, the body would be useless. Once the body was not strong enough, it would be torn to shreds by Blood Fang King. Of course, it would not sit and wait for death. It spat out a large cloud of black smoke to resist the vitality. At the same time, it struggled violently trying to shake off Blood Fang King. However, Blood Fang Monarch wasn't someone to be trifled with. His body emitted a violent spiritual energy fluctuation. Spiritual fluctuations surged out from its body and pressed the refined corpse down half a foot. This spell seemed to be able to increase the body's weight instantly. It was very effective when used after pressing down the opponent. Refined corpses were still lacking in skills. They mainly relied on close combat and the corpse and death qi to corrode the opponent. Now that its physical strength was suppressed by Blood Fang King and its corpse and death qi were destroyed by the fire of life, it could not resist at all. It could only scream and ask for help from the other refined corpses. Vulture was the most agile and wanted to help. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-burning divine flame technique to form a jade green Baifeng divine bird, which flew toward the vulture. Refined corpses hated vitality the most and did not dare to fight it head-on. With the help of the Baifeng shadow, Ming Exin finally stalled vulture and prevented it from interfering with Blood Fong King. After 15 minutes, the refined corpse that was suppressed by Blood Fong King finally couldn't hold on any longer. Its corpse and death qi were greatly consumed. Its body was not as strong as before. Its head was crushed by Blood Fong King and its hands were torn off by the wolf claws. Blood Fong King followed up and tore the refined corpse into pieces. Then it shouted, "Daoyuan, use the fire of life to rinse my mouth. This refined corpse stinks." Chapter 553. Wang Daoyuan gave a ball of spiritual fire of life to Blood Fong King, then attacked the low-grade rank 4 black bear corpse. However, the fox spirit strength was far inferior to Blood Fong King's, so it couldn't suppress the black bear at all. Wang Daoyuan's spiritual fire of life would have a hard time burning the black bear. On the other side, Blood Fong King finished rinsing his mouth with spiritual fire of life and joined Wang Daoyuan in attacking the black bear. However, the black bear's body was much stronger than Blood Fong King's. Wang Daoyuan's attacks left many wounds on its body, but the black bear corpse was 50 to 60 feet long and didn't care about the slightest injury. It would be a waste of time to continue fighting like this. Roaring Fong King was still fine as he had the upper hand against the mid-grade rank 4 humanoid corpse. Ming Exin wasn't as strong. Even with the help of Wang Daoyuan's Baifeng, she wasn't Vulture's match. Her tight leather clothes were torn in many places, revealing a large part of her body. The three of them couldn't completely suppress the black bear, which made Wang Daoyuan a little frustrated. If he used the Crimson Yang primordial fire or released the Red-Wing Crow, the black bear would be killed instantly. Anyway, he didn't want to reveal too much of his strength. He took out his 5 natal Dharma artifacts and merged them into the 5 Elements seal. Everyone already knew that he had refined the 5 Elements Devil Suppression seal, so there was no point in hiding it. The 5 Elements seal had the strength of a late-stage Golden Core cultivator. It was enough to kill the black bear instantly. Vulture and the humanoid corpse both looked at the black bear. Vulture flapped his wings and knocked Ming Exin aside. After dodging the Baifeng's attack, he pounced at Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, it would be strange if no one was controlling this humanoid corpse. It even learned how to attack Wei to save Xiao. Wang Daoyuan took out the heaven-sealing sword prison talisman, and 108 sword shadows surrounded Vulture. Streaks of sword qi slashed at Vulture's body, but only left some shallow wounds and a few feathers. Vulture relied on his strong body to break through the heaven-sealing sword prison. Then it flapped its wings fiercely and flew high into the sky to hide. Wang Daoyuan did not continue attacking it. His target was Roaring Tooth King's opponent. The black bear was not strong, but it was big and had a lot of corpse and death aura. It would take a lot of time to get rid of it. Wouldn't it be better to use this time to get rid of that 4th-tier mid-grade humanoid corpse? Now that they had the upper hand, the black bear would definitely not be able to escape. They would just have to stay and kill it. He shouted, "Ardent Tooth King." Roaring Tooth Lord immediately understood, and a blood-red barrier appeared around his body. Cultivators who practiced evil Dao techniques could also directly absorb the corpse qi and death qi to improve their own cultivation. Most of them used the corpse pill to refine evil artifacts. Some evil cultivators even used it to refine their natal artifacts. Then Blood Fong King took out 2 more corpse pills from the heads of the other 2 refined corpses. Unfortunately, these 2 refined corpses had been burned by Wang Daoyuan's spiritual fire of life for a long time, so there was not much corpse and death qi left in their corpse pills. Blood Fong King gave the 3 corpse pills to Wang Daoyuan. Thanks to your help, we were able to kill these 3 refined corpses. Otherwise, we would have died at the hands of the refined corpses, and even our race would have been wiped out. We don't have anything good in our hands, so these 3 corpse pills all belong to Daoyu. Take it as a token of our appreciation. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly declined. The 4 Daoyu are all injured and have paid a greater price than me. If I accept the corpse pills, I will feel bad. Hu Ling continued, "Fellow Daoist Wang, you should just accept it. You've saved the lives of our entire clan. This is nothing." Roaring Tooth King and Ming Exin also tried to persuade him. Wang Daoyuan did not decline and accepted the 3 corpse pills. Then he used the spiritual fire of life to heal the 4. Blood Fong King and Fox Spirit were only lightly injured and healed after being burned by the spiritual fire of life for a while. Roaring Tooth King was the last one to fall to the mid-grade rank 4 refined corpse. The refined corpse clawed a hole in his abdomen, injuring him the most. Wang Daoyuan took out the Azure Dragon Pearl and healed Roaring Tooth King first. After half a cup of tea's time, the corpse and death chi in Roaring Tooth King's body were removed and his wounds healed. Ming Xian's injuries were all superficial, but there were many deep wounds. Her injuries were not light, but she did not need the Azure Dragon Pearl. Wang Daoyuan used the spiritual fire of life to envelop her and slowly release his life force to dissolve the corpse and death chi in her wounds. Not long after, her wounds were healed. Wang Daoyuan withdrew the fire of life. Ming Xian stood up, took 2 steps forward and fell into Wang Daoyuan's arms. Looking at the disheveled beauty, Wang Daoyuan subconsciously supported her. Ming Xian burrowed into his arms and said, "Little brother Daoyuan, big sister suffered heavy internal injuries and won't be able to recover in 8 to 10 years. Why don't you come to my dark fox tribe and heal me?" Wang Daoyuan had a helpless expression. Why was this fox half-demon like her? She wanted to pull everyone into her tribe. She really wanted to improve the breed. He quickly pushed Ming Xian away and said with a smile, "Ming Xian, Daoyu's breathing is stable and his injuries have healed. Now he won't have a problem fighting with cultivators of the same level. If there are other injuries, please forgive me for not being able to help." Roaring Tooth King laughed at the side and said, "Old witch, your charm is not enough. You took the initiative to throw yourself into his arms and Daoyu didn't even like you." Ming Xian changed her soft voice and cursed at Roaring Tooth King at the top of her voice. Wang Daoyuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He advised, "We've only killed 3 refined corpses and there are still many of them at the Mirror Treasure Lake. You two should not be careless. In my opinion, you two should stop fighting for the time being and fight against the refined corpses together." Both of them felt that it was reasonable and stopped arguing. They only snorted at each other and stopped arguing. Chapter 554. Over at the Sky Beheading Mountain Range, the 4 refined corpses had been stuck in the Yin-Chi cave for several years, and the Mirror Treasure Lake had not sent any refined corpses to rescue them. Now that the refined corpses had suffered a setback here and suffered heavy losses, it was unlikely that they would continue to travel south. Wang Daoyuan bid farewell to everyone and prepared to return to Guiyan Market. Ming Xian looked very reluctant and said, "Brother Daoyuan, you should stay in my tribe for a few days so that I can be a good host." Wang Daoyuan naturally could not agree. Zhou Wan's spies were not good at proper business, but they were definitely good at finding out which woman he had been in contact with. When he was in the capital of Zhou country, he was talking to the Wind Snow God Palace about the face-retaining pill business, and was scolded by Zhou Wan. In this small tribe, there was an 80% chance that Zhou Wan's spies were in it. This time when he was helping Ming Xian heal her injuries, he was hugged by her again. He did not know what would happen when he returned. If he stayed in the Dark Fox tribe for a few more days, Guiyan Market and Jade Spring Peak would probably be turned upside down. He declined. "The administrator's residence is busy, and I have no time to deal with it these few days, so I won't stay for long. Everyone Daoyu farewell." In order to avoid Ming Xian's continued pestering, he left on a cloud and headed for Guiyan Market. In the Yellow Spring Secret Realm, a black-robed old man sat cross-legged under the Yellow Spring Willow. This old man's skin was dry and black, and his movements were extremely uncoordinated. His body emitted black gas, but there was no trace of vitality. He was clearly not a living person. He spoke in a stiff and hoarse voice. "I didn't expect that a little bug that came here more than 100 years ago would grow to this extent. Unfortunately, my physical body was still being nurtured in the Yellow Spring. My soul had not fully developed into a ghost body. Once I left the Yellow Spring Willow, all my previous efforts would be wasted and I could not kill him. I didn't expect that in a short 100 years he would grow into such a big problem. His natal magic tool seems to have the aura of the Yellow Spring Bead. More than 200 years ago, the Yellow Spring Bead and my inheritance were stolen by 2 little bugs. Now that the Yellow Spring Bead is in his hands, my inheritance should also be in his hands. With this kid here, we can't go south for the time being. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not know about these things. After he returned to Guiyuan City Square, he first went to the Guardian residence to check on the business situation of Guiyuan City Square. After all, he had already made a public appearance. It would be unreasonable if he did not pay the Guardian residence a visit after coming to returning Wild Goose City Square. After that, he concealed himself and went to the underground branch. After entering Zhou Wan's Immortal's cave, he had just closed the door of the Immortal's cave when a ball of flame came towards him. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the water dragon technique. A water dragon flew out and swallowed the flames. Then another ball of flame flew over. He used the water dragon prison to trap the fireball. Zhou Wan's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate the water dragon prison. The fireball inside went out of control and soon dissipated. A fiery red figure rushed over. This was naturally Zhou Wan. Wang Daoyuan was afraid of hurting her, so he withdrew the water dragon and condensed it into a water dragon armor. Zhou Wan stopped in front of him and pointed the sword in her hand at him. Then she asked in a strange tone, "Administrator, why didn't you stay in the Dark Fox tribe as a son-in-law? Otherwise you could have married that vixen Ming Xian and brought her back to Jade Spring Peak. You could have gained a Dark Fox tribe for free. That's more than a dozen Violet Palace realm cultivators and more than 100 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Hall Master, you must be joking. You're my official wife. Even 100 Dark Fox tribes can't compare to you." Zhou Wan's anger subsided a little. She asked, "So you want to take in a concubine?" Wang Daoyuan hurriedly denied, "I definitely don't have that intention. Other women are mediocre compared to Hall Master. You also know what kind of character the half-demons of the Fox tribe have. When they see a capable human cultivator, they want to recruit him into their tribe. She took the initiative to throw herself at me. As a dignified gentleman, I naturally rejected her." Zhou Wan's expression returned to normal. "When that vixen pretended to fall, you were quite nimble in holding her. How does it feel to hold that vixen?" Wang Daoyuan subconsciously replied, "Not bad." Then he immediately corrected himself, "It's not as comfortable as Hall Master's." Zhou Wan pointed the sword in her hand at Wang Daoyuan's waist and threatened, "You dare to compare that vixen to me? You have guts. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. You're a scoundrel who attracts flies. Next time if you dare to be ambiguous with other people, you'll have to bear the consequences." Wang Daoyuan finally let out a sigh of relief. This matter was finally over. He put away the water dragon. "Hall Master, rest assured. I'm definitely not that kind of person. Don't mention those misunderstandings. Our cultivation is more important. Don't you still want to condense spiritual fire? That's the important thing." Then he took out the flame of the red sun primordial fire from the space of the spiritual pearl and handed it to Zhou Wan. Zhou Wan put away her sword and took the red sun primordial fire. "Reflect on yourself in the front yard for a few days. Without my orders, you're not allowed to enter the backyard." Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to provoke her anymore. He obediently stayed in the front yard and thought about improving the sky ceiling sword prison. In the next few days, the news that Wang Daoyuan cooperated with the demons and half-demons to kill 3 refined corpses and that the spiritual fire of life could restrain the refined corpses spread in the northern mountains. Many demon and half-demon tribes sent envoys to visit Wang Daoyuan in Guiyuan Market. The news that refined corpses appeared near the Mirror Treasure Lake Oasis had spread throughout the northern mountains. A group of refined corpses entered the Sky Chop mountain range and killed 3 rank 4 demon beasts. More than 10 rank 4 demon beasts were helpless against them. The refined corpses ran everywhere. The demons and half-demons near the Mirror Treasure Lake Oasis were also afraid of being attacked by the refined corpses. It was better to familiarize themselves with Wang Daoyuan first so that when they were attacked by the refined corpses in the future, it would be easier for them to ask him for help. Wang Daoyuan helped the Silver Fox tribe and the Bloodthirsty Ash Wolves because they were the last barrier of Yan'an County. Once they were all killed or escaped, Yan'an County would have to face the refined corpses. Wang Daoyuan's subordinate forces were closely related to the Silver Fox, the other half-demon tribes and the Bloodthirsty Ash Wolves. Protecting them was the same as indirectly protecting his own territory. As for the other demons and half-demons, what did their lives have to do with him? The more the demons and half-demons in the northern mountains lost, the better. If the northern mountains were really empty, he could expand his forces there. Although the northern mountains were not as big as the Skychop mountain range, there were still many rank 3 and rank 4 spirit veins. When the demon and half-demon envoys arrived at the garrison of the Guiyuan market, Lu Yuan asked Wang Daoyuan about the arrangements. Wang Daoyuan asked him to chat with these envoys. He could accept their gifts, but he had to give them dharma artifacts, pills and other spiritual items in return. They could talk about feelings but they could not make any promises. He did not make any promises or owe anyone favors. When the demons and half-demons came to ask him for help, he would not have a bad reputation if he rejected them. Lu Yuan was also an itinerant cultivator who had been in the northern mountains for 200 to 300 years. He could not be a fool to have survived until now. There were no problems in handling the affairs of the Guiyuan market in the past few years. It was naturally easy to fool the demons and half-demon envoys. There was no movement in the netherworld mystic realm. The demon beasts outside the Skychop mountain range in the east of Yan'an County also did not move. There was nothing for Wang Daoyuan to handle personally, so he was happy to be free. It was good to cultivate in the underground branch. There was no need to go elsewhere to find work. After staying in the front yard for half a month, Zhou Wan's anger finally subsided. Wang Daoyuan successfully entered the boudoir. A year later, Wang Daoyuan sat cross-legged on the carved bed. The spiritual power fluctuations on his body were getting stronger and stronger. This was a sign that he was about to break through the realm. Zhou Wan did not dare to disturb him and guarded outside the door. The rank 3 low-grade spirit veins in the Guiyuan market were naturally not enough for an early-stage golden core cultivator to break through. Before the breakthrough, Wang Daoyuan drank a few jars of 100-year spiritual peach dew and a lot of rank 4 cloud hidden tea. At this time he was still constantly extracting spirit energy from the space of the spiritual pearl. More than 10 days later, his body emitted 5 colors of green, yellow, red, gold, black, and white. The light lasted for a quarter of an hour and then the light faded. Wang Daoyuan's spiritual power fluctuations were obviously strengthened, and his cultivation broke through to the mid-stage golden core. Chapter 555. After breaking through, Wang Daoyuan did not immediately get up. Instead he took out a jar of 100-year spiritual peach dew and drank it all. He continued to meditate and consolidate his cultivation. After half a day, the spiritual power of the jar of wine was completely exhausted and his cultivation was stabilized. Zhou Wan walked in and asked, "You formed your core later than me. When we dual cultivated, our cultivation progress was similar. I'm still some distance away from the middle stage of the Aurus core stage. How did you break through? When you weren't here, did you dual cultivate with other female cultivators?" Wang Daoyuan said helplessly, "Hull Master, you're really imagining things. When I wasn't here, I always stayed at the Jade Spring Peak. The Jade Spring Peak spiritual vein is a low-grade 4th-tier spiritual vein. Moreover, it's very close to middle-grade 4th-tier spiritual vein. It's much stronger than the spiritual vein in Guiyuan market. Besides, you usually have to comprehend and condense flexible secret techniques, so you have to put your mind elsewhere. My cultivation speed is slightly faster than yours. Isn't that normal?" In fact, the main reason why his cultivation speed was faster was because of the spiritual energy in the space of the spiritual pearl. There were 5 middle-grade 4th-tier spiritual veins in the space of the spiritual pearl. There was also the void outside the space as a backing, so the spiritual energy was endless. Now that he broke through, the space of the spiritual pearl did not change much. It was just that after the red-feathered crow's tribulation, the growth speed of the spiritual veins, the expansion speed of the spiritual fields, and the growth speed of time had increased. There were now 45 mu of spiritual fields, and the flow of time had increased to 41 times. The purple gold jade marrow fruit that he planted had also sprouted. For most of these 2 years, the scarlet yang real fire seed fire was in Zhou Wan's hands. The space of the spiritual pearl was not affected much. After all, there was still the red-feathered crow. Its natal fire was even more powerful than the scarlet yang real fire seed fire. Even if it leaked a little of its power, it was enough to maintain the balance of the 5 elements. When Zhou Wan heard this, she felt that it was somewhat reasonable, so she did not continue to ask. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Hull Master, since you think the cultivation speed is slow, then I'll help you cultivate?" Zhou Wan did not have any intention to object. Wang Daoyuan carried her and put her on the bed. Just as he was about to take off his clothes, a communication jade talisman in his storage bag began to vibrate. He took out the jade talisman and read it. It was a message from his fifth granduncle. Zhou Xian, the supreme elder of the Netherworld sect, had come to visit him in person. He said that he had an urgent matter to discuss with him. Now Zhou Xian was waiting at the administrator's mansion in Qingli City. Wang Daoyuan was so angry that he almost smashed the jade talisman. Wasn't this ruining his plans? Seeing his exasperated look, Zhou Luan asked, "What happened? Why are you so angry?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Zhou Xian of the Underworld sect is looking for me. He really ruined my plans." Zhou Luan said with a smile, "A good man's ambition is to travel far and wide. How can he ruin the important matter because of personal feelings? Since he had something important to do, he should hurry over. In the past, Gu Wangzong would look for you if something happened to the Netherworld sect. This time Zhou Xian had come in person. It should be something important. Take this Scarlet Yang True Flame with you. You might have to fight with others. Without a spirit flame your strength will be reduced." Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to refuse, but it was not easy to explain. He could only accept the Scarlet Yang True Flame. After tidying up his clothes, he said with a smile, "Hall Master, please wait for a while. After I settle the matter over there, I will come over to help you cultivate." After that he left the underground branch and headed for Qingli City. When he arrived at the administrator's mansion in Qingli City, his fifth granduncle was receiving Zhou Xian in the meeting hall. Wang Daoyuan entered the meeting hall and cupped his hands. "I wonder why the Supreme First Elder came in person?" Zhou Xian smiled and said, "This old man came here for two matters, one big and one small, one public and one private. Let's put public matters first. This public matter is also a big matter. Ever since Venerable Lei Yen said that the Divine Weapon Pavilion would not do business with the Song clan, the Song Nation had been in a lot of activity. Within the Song Nation, the Divine Weapon Pavilion only targeted the Song clan. The other subordinate factions of the Song clan could still do business with the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Song Yen was worried that in the long run, the Song clan's strength would decline, and the other five factions would become stronger. The Song Nation would fall apart again. Hence he decided to strike first to gain the upper hand. Over the past few years he has been hoarding all the resources of the Song Nation. Now he is recruiting cultivators from the other five factions and gathering them more than 2,500 kilometers south of Wuqing Pass. His goal is already very clear. He wants to attack Wuqing Pass again. At this point Wang Daoyuan asked, "Not to mention that the battle has not started yet. Even if it does, the Myriad Spirit sect will be holding it off first. I wonder why the Supreme First Elder is looking for me at this time?" Zhou Xian answered, "The Song Nation is going all out this time. Furthermore, Song Yen has managed the Song Nation well for the past 100 years. In the Song Nation he can be said to be the one who keeps his word. The strength that the Song Nation can bring out now is definitely incomparable to that of 100 years ago. Even if the Myriad Spirit sect goes all out, they will not be able to hold off the Song Nation for long. If we want to hold off the Song Nation, the Netherworld sect and the Cruel Sun Palace will have to contribute half of their strength to help the Myriad Spirit sect. The sect hopes that you can bring some of the people from the administrator's residence to Wuqing Pass first." These shameless words made Wang Daoyuan so angry that he almost laughed. The Netherworld sect had 7 golden core cultivators, but they wanted him to hold them off first. Song Yen was hated by his master because he dealt with him. If he joined the battle, would the Song Nation still want to kill him? With his master around, the other factions would not dare to come to Yan'an County to make trouble for him. However, if he went to Wuqing Pass of his own accord, it would be a different story. On the battlefield, life and death were predestined. It was normal for anyone to die in battle. This could not be used as an excuse to seek revenge. If he died in battle at Wuqing Pass, his master would have no reason to attack the Song family. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not fall for this trick. He cupped his hands and said, "Supreme First Elder, I remember that my duty was to guard Yan'an County and defend the sect from the threat of the Sky Chop Mountain Range and Shanbei, right?" Zhou Xian answered, "This is indeed your duty. However, the administrator's residence is still a subordinate faction of the sect. Now that the sect needs you, it's reasonable for you to be temporarily transferred." Wang Daoyuan sneered, "If the administrator's residence is safe and sound, it's reasonable for the sect to transfer me to another place. However, a year ago I joined forces with half-demons and demons to kill 3 refined corpses that fled to the south. Who can guarantee that the refined corpses won't flee to the south in the future? A few years ago, 4 refined corpses entered the Sky Chop mountain range from the east. In the end, they were blocked by more than 10 rank 4 demons in a cave with Densin Qi. The demons did not dare to go down easily. Now both sides are in a deadlock. As far as I know, there are more than 10 refined corpses. 4 of them are trapped in the Sky Chop mountain range. 3 of them died in the hands of me, demons and half-demons. This is only half of them. The other half are still in their lairs. None of the 3 superior rank 4 corpses have come out yet. Once these 3 fellows and several superior rank 4 corpses come to Shanbei, who in the Netherworld sect can stop them? I'm afraid that you don't have the ability to subdue superior rank 4 corpses, right? At that time, several rank 4 corpses will wreak havoc. The Netherworld sect's hundreds of years of hard work will go down the drain. With me here, once the refined corpses invade the south, I can join forces with the demons and half-demons to stop them. My master will not sit by and do nothing. There's still a chance to stop the refined corpses. I hope that Grand Elder and Sect Master will not only look at the immediate benefits but ignore the risks behind. Hearing this, Zhou Xian fell into deep thought. It was indeed unreasonable to transfer Wang Daoyuan to Wuqing Pass. If Wang Daoyuan really wanted to go against it, there was nothing he could do. Otherwise, the Wang family wouldn't have grown so big. There were no benefits for the sect if they shed all pretense of cordiality. After all, Wang Daoyuan controlled an important trade route for the Netherworld sect. In these years, the sect had profited a lot from this trade route. If this trade route was cut off, the sect's losses would be huge. Zhou Xian pondered for a long time before replying, "We don't know much about the refined corpses. We didn't know that there were 3 superior rank 4 corpses. Now it seems that the sect has not thought it through. How about this? The sect will not conscript the cultivators of the administrator's residence. But you have to promise me one thing." Chapter 556. Although the Netherworld sect couldn't do anything to him, Wang Daoyuan didn't want to flip the table directly. The administrator's residence needed the Netherworld sect's resources to earn spirit stones. The Netherworld sect provided a year's supply of all kinds of Tier 1 and Tier 2 resources, which added up to 7 to 8 million spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan sold them to the Green Willow Province and Guyan Market, and he could earn more than 1 million spirit stones. Before the conditions to destroy the Netherworld sect were ripe, this source of income couldn't be cut off. He asked, "What are the conditions? Grand Elder can tell me directly. If I can agree, I will naturally agree. If I can't do it, I won't agree no matter what." Zhou Xian smiled and said, "Administrator, don't worry. This condition isn't difficult. It's just that the war is imminent and we need a lot of flying warships, Tier 3 and above artifacts, talismans and so on. The sect wants to buy these things from the administrator's residence. Previously, Vice Sect Leader Gu also talked to you about flying warships. I can agree to your request on behalf of the sect." Wang Daoyuan put on a fake smile. "Now that you're begging me, you still want to follow the previous conditions. You're dreaming." He looked at Zhou Xian and smiled. "You didn't agree to my conditions at the beginning. It's been more than 10 years and the conditions should change. The sect sells the materials to me to refine flying warships. I can sell them to you at the price of 800,000 spirit stones each. The administrator's residence also has a large number of people to support, and they can't work for free. As for the quantity, at most 1 per year. There are too few craftsmen in the administrator's residence. Only the Wang family and the Yang family have Tier 3 craftsmen. If they use all the materials to refine flying warships, they can only take out 1 per year. However, the sect can't restrict the Wang family's flying warships and flying warships in the future. As for artifacts, talismans and other resources, the administrator's residence's foundation is too weak. Without a stable Tier 3 spirit item output, it's impossible to sell them in large quantities." Zhou Xian thought for a while and didn't intend to bargain on these trivial matters. The previous restrictions were also useless. He nodded and said, "I can agree to these conditions, but can you refine a Type 4 flying warship? If you can refine it, the sect will send someone to assist you. The materials will also be provided by the sect. If you refine a low-grade 4th-grade flying warship, we will give you 10 million spirit stones. The refining method of a low-grade Tier 4 flying warship was different from that of a Tier 3 flying warship where everyone knew the refining method. In the entire Beiyuan Zhou Xian, only the 4 top powers and a few first-rate and second-rate countries could produce it. The Netherworld sect did not even have a decent Tier 4 blacksmithing legacy, let alone a Tier 4 flying warship. Wang Daoyuan did not have the crafting method for a Type 4 flying warship. There was no mention of flying warships in the inheritance left behind by the ancestral masters. He shook his head and said, "You're making things difficult for me. The refinement method of a Tier 4 flying warship is definitely not leaked to the outside world. Although I have obtained Master's refining legacy, I do not know how to refine a Type 4 flying warship." Zhou Xian sighed and said, "Then that's it. Since we're done talking about official matters, let's talk about private matters. How many corpse cores did you get from the 3 refined corpses? I can buy them at a high price." Zhou Xian was not young and should be around 900 years old. There was no point in cultivating with corpse borrowing pills. Moreover, the corpse core's grade was too low and had limited use for late-stage golden core cultivators. Wang Daoyuan asked, "You're already a late-stage golden core cultivator, so there's not much difference between peak and late-stage golden core cultivators. What do you want it for?" Zhou Xian shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I'm already buried up to my neck. Why would I waste something like this? I want this corpse core for my useless grandson. There are no outstanding figures in the Zhong clan's younger generation. The only one who has cultivated to the peak of the Violet Palace realm is my grandson, Zhong Yaoting. But he's already over 400 years old and his talent is not at the top. There's no hope for him to form a core on his own. I'm afraid that the Zhong clan will not have any descendants after I die, so I want him to use the corpse core's power to form a core." A corpse core formed by a 4th-grade refined corpse was similar to a golden core. It wasn't impossible for a cultivator who cultivated with death chi and corpse chi to form a core by force. However, the price was a bit high. Using this to form a core would harm one's foundation. After forming a core, it would be much more difficult to take a step forward. Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't have any objections. The corpse core was just a decoration in his hands and it wasn't bad to use it to exchange for something. As for the side effects, he didn't care about the Zhong clan's matters. He smiled and replied, "The 3 corpse cores are in my hands, but 2 of them have consumed too much death chi and corpse chi. The only one that is intact is a low-grade 4th-grade one. May I know what you can take out to exchange for it?" Zhou Xian smiled mysteriously and took out 2 pages made of animal skin. Wang Daoyuan took the pages and secretly mobilized the dark sound soul-burying bell to protect his Violet Palace realm in case there were any tricks. Only then did he release his spiritual sense to check. There weren't any tricks in the pages. The content recorded on the first page was very simple, only the 4 words, "Essence of Divine Powers." The second page was introductory and recorded the origin of the essence of divine powers. This was the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Back in the day, the Valley of Beasts raised a large number of demon beasts with divine beast bloodlines. When demon beasts with a high concentration of divine beast bloodlines broke through to the 4th grade, they would undergo a bloodline heavenly tribulation and awaken minor divine powers. The Valley of Beasts wanted to explore the mysteries of minor divine powers by studying these demon beasts with minor divine powers. This essence of divine powers was the result of their exploration. The essence of divine powers could increase a cultivator's chances of comprehending minor divine powers. This kind of inheritance was a treasure to any force. Wang Daoyuan asked in surprise, "Why didn't you give this to the sect and give it to me instead?" Zhou Xian sighed. "What good would it do for the Zhong clan if I gave it to the sect? Although the Luo, Zhong, Gu and Ming clans are all local families, there are still differences between us. The 4 clans have been passed down for thousands of years and all of them have their own treasures. This essence of divine powers isn't as powerful as you think. It only points the way for golden core cultivators to comprehend minor divine powers. How far you can go depends on your own ability. My Zhong clan has had this essence of divine powers for more than 3,000 years. In these 3,000 years, the Zhong clan has produced more than 10 golden core cultivators. However, only 3 of them have minor divine powers and one of them is me. You have excellent talent. With this essence of divine powers, the chances of you comprehending minor divine powers are very high. I want to use this essence of divine powers to exchange for the 3 corpse cores in your hands. What do you think? Wang Daoyuan really didn't know that Zhou Xian had minor divine powers and was secretly shocked. A golden core late-stage cultivator with minor divine powers couldn't be compared to an ordinary person. Wang Daoyuan had broken through to the middle stage of golden core and could defeat ordinary golden core late-stage cultivators. However, to deal with a golden core late-stage cultivator with minor divine powers, he could at most retreat. He asked, even if it's as you said, the value of this essence of divine powers is not low. Are you willing to give it to me? Zhou Xian said self-deprecatingly, your appetite is too big. I can't take out a living 4th-rank spiritual plant. If there is no golden core cultivator among the younger generation, this thing can't be kept. It's better to take a gamble and exchange it for corpse cores. My Zhong clan doesn't have any conflict with you. This is also a good karma. When you become strong, please take care of my Zhong clan's younger generation. Wang Daoyuan naturally knew what he meant. This old fox saw his potential and wanted to bet on both sides. If the Netherworld sect's ship sank, he could still have a way out. He took out 3 black beads and said, well said, the 3 corpse cores I got are all here. Zhou Xian used his divine sense to scan them and nodded with satisfaction. He took out a thick beast skin book. After obtaining the essence of divine powers, Wang Daoyuan used the dark sound soul-bearing bell to protect his Zifu before releasing his divine sense to check. This beast skin book had more than 100 pages. Only 10 pages recorded the techniques to comprehend minor divine powers. The rest were all successful examples. Chapter 557. Wang Daoyuan flipped through a few of them and found them interesting. The essence of the divine ability wasn't made up. Regardless of whether these examples were real or fake. The method of comprehending the charm with the help of the Purple Mansion phenomenon was very similar to Zhou Wan's secret method. Zhou Wan also said that the secret method of comprehending the charm was created by herself. Now, it seemed that she had obtained the incomplete inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Wang Daoyuan was unhappy. She said that she created the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts herself. I thought she was unfathomable. Once I'm done with this, I'll punish her. Zhou Xian carefully checked the 3 corpse cores and was very satisfied. He asked, there's no problem with the corpse cores. Are you satisfied with the essence of the divine ability? Wang Daoyuan nodded. It's really good. This thing can't be created by ordinary forces. It should be the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Zhou Xian smiled. Since there's no problem, I won't stay any longer. In the future, the materials for the flying warship will be transported to Qingli Market. Wang Daoyuan stood up and cupped his hands. Farewell, Grand Supreme Elder. After Zhou Xian left, he didn't rush back to Guiyuan Market. Song wasn't peaceful. Another war was about to begin. His family had to prepare for war. In the past few years, the 3 sects of Zhao had become stronger. The Netherworld sect had gained another golden core cultivator. In the Cruel Sun Palace, Tu Yoming's master Daoist Qiyuan had already passed away. However, there was another peak Purple Mansion realm cultivator who had formed his golden core. The total number of golden core cultivators didn't change. The oldest and strongest of the myriad spirit sect, Daoist Yulong, still had a few decades to live. There was only one peak Purple Mansion realm cultivator. The number of golden core cultivators had increased by 1. Now there were 9 golden core cultivators. This was the strength on the surface. In fact, it was hard to say if there were any hidden golden core cultivators. In the past 100 years there hadn't been any war. The number of Purple Mansion realm and Foundation establishment cultivators had increased by a lot. The state of Zhao was a first-rate country, and its resources were abundant. Before the rebellion of the 3 major sects, the imperial family of the state of Zhao had over 30 golden core cultivators. Not to mention the Violet Palace and Foundation establishment cultivators. Right now, the number of Jindan and Zifu disciples in the state of Zhao was only a third of what it had been in the past. There was a lot of room for growth. Wang Daoyuan wasn't too sure about the Myriad Spirit sect and the Cruel Sun Palace, but the Netherworld sect had a net increase of more than 20 Zifu disciples and 300 Foundation establishment disciples. Ever since the Song Kingdom was defeated at Wuqing Pass over 100 years ago, they had suffered heavy losses in their Zifu Realm Foundation establishment cultivators. Furthermore, the Song nation's resources could not be compared to the Zhou nation's. Even if the Song nation's strength increased, the increase was not as great as the Zhou nation's. The only advantage was that Song Yan had strong control over the Song nation, allowing him to bring out most of its potential. It wasn't like the state of Zhou, which was divided into 3 factions that schemed against each other. When facing enemies, they had to be wary of their allies. Being able to unleash 40 to 50% of one's full strength was already considered pretty good. Although the possibility of the state of Song directly breaking through Wuqing Pass wasn't high, Wang Daoyuan had to be cautious. The 3 major sects didn't only have the state of Song as their opponent, but also the remaining imperial family of Zhou. The 9th Prince's faction was more stable and wouldn't make a move easily. However, the 6th Prince and Lord Linhai weren't people who could endure loneliness. The 6th Prince's faction in the state of Song was the Zhou family. Once Wuqing Pass was in danger, the 6th Prince's faction would definitely make a move. The Beiyuan sword sect in Shanbei had been pretending to be obedient all these years, but the 6th Prince's faction was very willing to invest in Shanbei. Although he didn't like the Netherworld sect, the Netherworld sect was still stronger than the 6th Prince. They wanted to take advantage of the situation, but they were all cowards and didn't dare to use force. As long as they could make a profit, they could still do business. In addition, the 3 major sects in the state of Zhou were restraining each other, so the Netherworld sect didn't dare to play with him. The 6th Prince was a self-righteous fool. If Wang Daoyuan publicly called him a long-legged prince, he would definitely use his power to take revenge. If he defeated the 3 major sects and regained power in the state of Zhou, the Wang family would suffer. No matter how the situation changed in the future, they could only protect themselves if they were strong enough. In the next few years, the situation in the state of Zhou would change a lot. Wang Daoyuan's family needed to increase their strength as soon as possible. At this moment, the 5th great-uncle walked in. He couldn't stay here when the 2 Golden Core Realm practitioners were discussing. The 5th great-uncle asked, "Why did Zhou Xian come here?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "If the state of Song wants to make trouble, the Thousand Spirit sect won't be able to stop it. The Netherworld sect and the Cruel Sun Palace need to send reinforcements. Those bastards from the Netherworld sect wanted to make the Wang family a scapegoat, but I refused." After bargaining for a long time, the Wang family finally sold them a 3rd-level lower-grade flying warship for 800,000 spirit stones a year. We can still make a lot of spirit stones. Besides, the Netherworld sect will sell us the materials to make the flying warship in the future. Hearing this, the 5th great-uncle said with a smile, "It seems that we didn't lose anything. Instead, we took advantage of them." Wang Daoyuan shook his head and said, "It's not that simple. The state of Song wants to fight with all their might. They won't be easy to deal with. Once the 3 major sects suffer heavy losses, the 6th Prince will definitely come out to make trouble. If they win, the Wang family won't have a good time in the future. No matter which side we choose in the future, we can't be too weak. We have to increase our strength as soon as possible. The 12th uncle is not far from the peak of the Violet Palace realm. If he's lucky, he'll have a chance to form his core in 10 years. You should cultivate to the peak of the Violet Palace realm as soon as possible. I'll try my best to prepare some treasures for you to form your core." The 12th uncle had an 8-inch and 7-inch water spiritual root. His physical body and spiritual energy had reached the standard of forming his core. He didn't need any spiritual objects, but his success rate was high. The 5th great-uncle's spiritual root was less than 8 inches, and he still had 3 spiritual roots. Without the help of spiritual objects, the success rate of forming his core should be less than 50%. The jade needle white Yusong in the spiritual pearls space couldn't be counted on. Even if it could form his core on time, it would take more than 100 years to take effect. At that time, he could secretly kill a 4th-grade demonic beast and use its golden core to refine elixirs that could assist in forming his core. The 5th great-uncle smiled bitterly. "My talent is far inferior to Shri's, and I've wasted a lot of resources over the years. I'm still a step away from the late stage of the Violet Palace realm. If you have any resources, you should use them on Shri. There's no need to waste them on me." Wang Daoyuan took out 100 purple rhyme pills and 5 caddies of 3rd-grade cloud tea. "Don't worry. I have plenty of resources. Among the clansmen apart from the 12th uncle, you're the one with the highest chance of forming your core. Zhou might be talented but he's still too young. It'll take him another 200 years to form his core. You're the most suitable person to form your core. The 5th great uncle took the items and said, then I'll try to form my core before the battle of life and death. At that time the clan will have 3 golden core cultivators. We should be able to protect ourselves. On the surface the Wang family only had 1 golden core cultivator, but in reality they had 4 golden core cultivators. Unfortunately Wang Daoyuan was the only one who could show his face. After settling the matters of the administrator's mansion, Wang Daoyuan returned to the Jade Spring Peak and explained the clan's matters to his 3rd brother. The 3 Peak Foundation establishment cultivators in the clan had to establish their Violet Palace realm as soon as possible. Especially his little uncle Wang Shoujia. After establishing his Violet Palace realm, his spiritual sense would be strengthened, and the speed at which he could refine the flying warship would increase greatly. The matter of clansmen exchanging Foundation establishment pills also had to be opened up. As long as their spiritual roots exceeded 6.5 inches or their attainments in pill refining, smithing and talisman formations reached the 2nd grade, they would be allowed to borrow contribution points to exchange for Foundation establishment pills. A resource like Foundation establishment pills was worthless if it wasn't used. The more Foundation establishment cultivators the clan had, the more power it would have. As for himself, he had to improve his talisman crafting skills as soon as possible. With the tool talisman inheritance from his master, he didn't lack 4th grade materials for refining tools. As long as his talisman crafting and tool refining skills reached the low-grade 4th grade, he would be able to refine 4th grade talismans. After the 5th great uncle and the 12th uncle formed their cores, each of them would have the strength of 2 or 3 early-stage golden core cultivators with a few talismans each. This was the best way to increase the clan's strength in a short period of time. Lesser divine abilities were too elusive. Even if one had the essence of a divine ability, comprehending a lesser divine ability was a matter of luck. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.